Chapter 498. Do you still want to fuse? Naruto stared at Haiden. After Haiden got rid of the suffocation, he laughed like a madman and said, "Of course." Haiden's left arm turned into a metal sickle tentacle, and then lightning surrounded it. Unlike the blue or purple lightning in the past, it was in a state of flowing light. Naruto knew that it was the fusion of water and lightning, a power called mist release. Done. Haiden's arm slashed forward, like a samurai with unparalleled swordsmanship. Extremely fast. And the power was unparalleled. Haiden's tentacle cut on the rock in front of him. The rocks were as light as tofu, and they were instantly destroyed. After witnessing the improvement of his power, Haiden walked to the front of the third coffin. Sannin's ninja speed escape. Haiden's chest split open again, and the slender tentacles drilled into the man's body, and then connected with the heart. The body withered, the heart strengthened, and the mysterious seal appeared. The heart was taken and fused. The three hearts began to synchronize. After the synchronization was completed, Haiden's stomach exploded. Not only the stomach, but all the digestive systems of the large and small intestines exploded. Haiden began to cough violently, like a terminal lung cancer. He coughed hoarsely. Naruto looked at the blood and the organs being spat out. When he saw the intestines, he couldn't bear to look at it. Perhaps because he also felt that vomiting his intestines was a little uncomfortable and torturous, Fei Duan cut open his stomach, and then directly removed his intestines. This scene was simply amazing. I don't think you'll have to eat in the future. The things that were absorbed and digested were gone, so how could he eat? Haiden finished the removal operation, and the hole from the chest to the abdomen was closed again. If I don't eat, then I won't eat. That guy said that after my body was melted by his body, these organs will also disappear. After that, Haiden didn't try his new ability and just ran to the front of the fourth coffin. The last ninja, the mist ninja, who could swallow chakras never release Kekkei Genkai. What should he say? Just now, Naruto was thinking about whether to add a scorpion core seal to Haiden since he couldn't eat normally. This way, Fei Dan could also survive by devouring chakra in the future. But from the looks of it now, with the nether escape, there was nothing to worry about. Since this thing could swallow chakra, it might even be able to replace food. He just didn't know if he could extract life force from chakra. But even if he couldn't, it didn't matter. Naruto could help Fei Duan complete the transformation. The fourth fusion. This time, all of his internal organs were gone. Fei Duan didn't vomit anymore. He also cut open his stomach and poured out all the miscellaneous things. All that was left were 4 strange hearts beating together. That's right, there were 4 of them. Fei Duan's original heart was long gone. Back then, when Fei Duan fled for his life, he had also taken the heart of the earth attribute chakra. How do you feel? Fei Duan became even taller. Not only was he tall, but the muscles on his body were also growing rapidly. He looked like an iron tower. Furthermore, Fei Dan's height also broke through the original value, surpassing Naruto and reaching a terrifying height of 2 meters. Fei Dan moved his body. It feels great, as if I have endless power. Fei Duan took a step. It was an ordinary step, but it directly made a hole in the ground. Fei Duan froze for a moment, then laughed. Rapid escape. Fei Duan disappeared in place like a cannonball. However, because he wasn't used to the sudden increase in strength, a lot of holes were blasted on the ground. Oh. Fei Duan let out a strange cry. In Naruto's eyes, he was like a monkey running around naked in the forest. He couldn't see anyone. He could only hear the explosion on the ground and the holes that kept appearing. Naruto took off the left eye mask. The Sharingan turned around and blinked to familiarize itself with the surrounding environment. This time Naruto saw Fei Duan's figure. The dynamic vision of the Sharingan is really good. Should I also change the other eye to the Sharingan? Naruto was a little tempted. Rapid escape accelerated, and steel-released tentacles slashed at the surrounding stone mountains. Fei Duan was happy this time. Naruto shouted, "Come here. Let's practice together." Fei Duan was stunned. When the stones stopped rolling on the ground, there was no sound. Fei Duan turned his head and looked over. "Boss, are you serious?" Naruto hooked his finger to Fei Duan. Less nonsense, come on, let me see your current ability. Fei Duan smiled and said, coming. Rapid escape. Speed burst. In the blink of an eye, Fei Duan disappeared. Naruto injected chakra into the Sharingan, and the dynamic vision of the Sharingan was activated to the limit. He saw it. Not only did he see it, but because Fei Duan was not used to the sudden increase in strength, Naruto also heard the continuous explosion. With a prediction, Naruto used wind release and dodged Fei Duan's attack by a centimeter. Naruto noticed a weakness of the missile. Although the missile's speed was increased, its reaction and vision were shortcomings. After hitting the air, Fei Duan noticed Naruto's Sharingan. Boss, has your Sharingan recovered? Naruto replied, no, I changed it. While speaking, Naruto avoided the missile's vision and kicked Fei Duan away, embedding him in the stone mountain. Be serious, use all your strength. Naruto shouted. Fei Duan's body crawled out of the corpse. He was a little embarrassed, but from his lively appearance, it was not difficult to see that he was fine. Boss, do you really want me to use all my strength? Naruto hooked his finger. Nonsense, just do it. Fei Duan smiled and said, then, does death by blood count? Death by blood. That's a deadly move. Naruto smiled and said, very good. It seems that you have the awareness to use all your strength. Not only death by blood, but all the moves are not limited. With that said, Naruto's body was completely metallized. With steel release protecting his body, as long as steel release is not removed, Fei Duan will not be able to get his blood. Fei Duan laughed crazily and said, well, I'll use all my strength. Speed release. Fei Duan's power was pushed to the extreme, and Naruto's Sharingan could barely see his figure. In terms of speed release was really fast. Ming Ran listened carefully. However, after the explosion of the ground, there was suddenly no sound. Fei Duan's figure also disappeared. There was no left, right, front, or back. Above? No. It was below. Naruto suddenly jumped up and flashed away. The next moment, Fei Duan's fist rushed out of the ground. Then it was Naruto's turn to charge. The Rasengan in his hand instantly gathered, and then the wind release storm damage accelerated towards Fei Duan. Fei Duan's momentum hasn't dissipated yet, and he was still rushing upward under the effect of inertia. Naruto's Rasengan just hit Fei Duan's abdomen. Fei Duan was sent flying again. Naruto ridiculed. No. Is this your ability after you get serious? After Fei Duan's body landed, he drilled into the ground. At this time, Naruto can use fire release to melt the ground, or ice release to create his own home ground. Especially the second kind, Naruto hid in the ice, and it would be difficult for Fei Duan to attack him. If coupled with a clone, it would be even better. However, Naruto didn't. He didn't intend to take advantage of Chakra's nature change this time. He wanted to have a good fight with Fei Duan. First, to evaluate his own strength. Second, to find his own fighting method. It was a method that could make one feel good after beating them up. Chapter 499. Fei Duan was once again sent flying by Naruto's Rasengan. Boss, why don't you teach me this move? After fully witnessing the power of Rasengan, Fei Duan couldn't help but think about this move. Naruto hooked his hand again. Okay, if you defeat me, I'll teach you. Fei Duan was so excited that he sat up directly from the stone pit and said in surprise, really? Naruto hooked his hand again, really? Fei Duan rushed over. Dodge. Counterattack. Dodge again. Counterattack again. Naruto tangled with Fei Duan with physical skills. Perhaps it was because he had adapted to his own strength, or perhaps the Four Hearts hadn't finished upgrading Fei Duan. Fei Duan became braver and braver as he fought. At first he was suppressed by Naruto, but later he gradually suppressed Naruto. Finally, bang! Naruto was sent flying. Boss, I defeated you. Defeated? Does it count? Naruto suppressed too much of his strength. He didn't use monstrous strength or swordsmanship. Not to mention the other miscellaneous things. However, Naruto didn't deny it and nodded in agreement. Okay, when this battle is over, I'll teach you. As he said that, he got up and took the initiative to attack Fei Duan. Boss, when will the battle end? It only counts when I see blood. Fei Duan was stunned. Then he was sent flying by Naruto's whip kick. This time Naruto didn't stop attacking. He sprinted forward and started a combo. After Fei Duan took a few hits, his body was also tempered. Then he heard ding ding, ding, ding. The sound of metal colliding rang out. Boss, this is too difficult. Fei Duan used swift escape to dodge Naruto's whip kick, and the combo was interrupted. It's not difficult, just seeing blood. Naruto launched another attack. Fei Duan's vision had already caught up with Naruto's rhythm. The two fought again. This time, Fei Duan had the upper hand again, and was getting stronger and stronger. Naruto's several close-range attacks ended in failure. If he used a clone, a thought arose in Naruto's mind, but it was later rejected. The purpose of this battle with Fei Duan was to find a new way of fighting. He could no longer use his past fighting habits. What about using monstrous strength? Naruto was very conflicted, and then Naruto was sent flying. Boss, why aren't you dodging? Fei Duan did not continue to attack. He stood aside and looked at Naruto. How was he supposed to answer that? In the situation just now, he really couldn't dodge it. However, if he used a doppelganger, Fei Duan would definitely not be able to hit him. Even if he used Earth Escape to escape underground, he would not be able to hit him. If he used monstrous strength, then there was no need to mention it. But to find a new way to fight. Again. Naruto got up and was knocked down again. When he got up again, he was still knocked down. After Fei Duan's reaction speed caught up, Naruto was already at a complete disadvantage with the overwhelming speed advantage of swift escape. Naruto still did not bleed, but he was a little angry. This time, Naruto was caught by Fei Duan's tentacles. A Hell's Cradle and a suplex. Naruto's head had the most intimate contact with the ground. Boss, did you see blood? There was no blood, but Naruto was angry. Monstrous strength. First gear. Second gear. Third gear. Fourth gear. The membrane formed by chakra could not be seen. All that could be seen was a layer of red light exuding from Naruto's body. This Tsunade had nothing, but because Naruto's chakra was affected by 9 tails, it was also red. You asked me if I saw blood? Naruto's hands pressed on the ground and pulled his head out of the ground. Power burst. Naruto appeared in front of Fei Duan. Feeling that the atmosphere was not right, Fei Duan was a little speechless. That it looks like there's no blood. Then again? After asking this question, Naruto disappeared in place. Come. Body flicker technique. It was not a storm injury. There were no wind blades exploding on Naruto's body. However, his speed was extremely fast. Close. Hook. Fei Duan's chin was hit, and he was sent flying by Naruto's fist. He raised his hand and grabbed Fei Duan's ankle. He swung his hand back and threw him up violently. Did you see blood? Did you see blood? How dare you arrogantly ask me if I saw blood? Fei Duan's body was rounded by Naruto, and he fell violently to the ground. Papa. He threw out all the accumulated anger from Fei Duan's violent beating. The final blow, Hell's Slam. Naruto planted Fei Duan upside down on the ground. Fei Duan was not seriously injured, but his head was smashed on the ground and he had already fainted. When he stood up again, it was no different from being drunk. Wait, didn't he want to find a new way to fight? He couldn't use monstrous strength. Naruto stopped using monstrous strength. He hooked his finger at Fei Duan. Again. Fei Duan was a little scared by Naruto's round. Boss, let's not do it. Naruto hooked his finger again. I haven't seen blood yet. Fei Duan shook his head and said, let's not see blood. Naruto asked in return. You don't want to learn Rasengan? Fei Duan shook his head like a rattle drum. I don't want to learn. I don't want to learn. Naruto said kindly, learn. Fei Duan shook his head. I don't want to learn. Naruto adjusted his smile and tone, and said more kindly, learn. Fei Duan shook his head even faster. I don't want to learn. I really don't want to learn. Naruto shouted, learn. Then he took the initiative to attack Fei Duan. Because he didn't use monstrous strength, Naruto's speed and strength dropped again this time. When Fei Duan realized this, he muttered in his heart. Could it be that boss could only explode for a while? Fei Duan perked up. I dodge. I dodge. I dodge again. After dodging Naruto's attacks several times in a row, Fei Duan regained his confidence. Then he launched a fierce attack on Naruto. A heavy punch. Naruto was sent flying. Naruto. Tentacles grabbed Naruto and threw him. Naruto was planted on the ground again. Naruto. Fei Duan's courage grew, and his tentacles grabbed Naruto's ankle. Then he boldly rotated, just like how Naruto rotated him. Did you see blood this time? Did you see blood? I'm asking you. Did you see blood? Veins popped out on Naruto's metallic face. Hand seals. Multiple shadow clone. Bang. Bang bang. Bang. Rasengan. Thousands of Naruto held Rasengan in their hands and smashed them at Fei Duan. You're still asking me if I saw blood. I asked you to ask me if I saw blood. I asked you to ask. A Rasengan was a question. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that it was a public accusation. He pressed Fei Duan to the ground and rubbed him crazily. It felt good to beat Fei Duan back. After the pleasure of thousands of clones merged together, Naruto felt great. Then his anger subsided. Well, he couldn't use multiple shadow clone. Naruto hooked his finger at Fei Duan, whose body was about to be deformed from the beating. Come, continue. I haven't seen blood yet. Fei Duan cried. Boss. I saw blood. Naruto looked over. Of course, he didn't know how Fei Duan's steel release metallization was partially removed. Then Fei Duan's front teeth were knocked away. That was blood. You can't see blood. I have to see blood. Don't run. Let me heal you. Chapter 500. Well, this time, Fei Duan wouldn't play with Naruto no matter what. No matter how Naruto coaxed him, it wouldn't work. Fei Duan was about to cry. Boss, what do you want? Is it fun to tease me like this? In Fei Duan's eyes, Naruto was deliberately showing weakness and teasing him, then pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger to bully him. Fei Duan wasn't afraid of life and death battles, but he couldn't stand being teased like this. His self-esteem was insulted. Naruto cleared his throat. Ahem, nothing much. I'm not teasing you on purpose. I just want to find a new fighting method. Fei Duan. Come on. Get up and continue. Fei Duan's attitude was very firm. Boss, I really don't want to learn Rasengan. Naruto waved his hand. You have to learn. Can't your tentacles split at will? When you learn Rasengan, you can do a few shots without cloning. It's very good. Come on. I'm going to attack. With that, Naruto launched an attack on Fei Duan. It hurts. Ow! I lost. Ah. Naruto didn't enter monstrous strength mode, nor did he use clones, but Fei Duan cried out in pain when he touched him. He was like a husky who had made a mistake, whining and admitting his mistake. Then, Naruto was annoyed. Then Fei Duan was beaten up by Naruto, who entered monstrous strength mode. Then he entered comfort mode again. Come on, let's have a good fight. I want to find a new fighting method that suits me. This time, I won't use monstrous strength or multiple shadow clones. Fei Duan was terrified. Boss, although I've fused 4 new bloodline limits, but I haven't learned how to use them yet. I don't know any ninjutsu. Just let me go. Fei Duan lay pitifully in the stone pit motionless. Naruto solemnly promised. This time, I really won't use monstrous strength or clones. Fei Duan continued to shake his head. Naruto's face darkened. Believe it or not, I'll bury you alive. As he spoke, the metal around him gathered. Fei Duan held his head and squatted. Is it okay? Metal is fine, right? He also knew steel escape. The metal wouldn't be able to crush him to death. Haiden closed his eyes and waited. However, the feeling of being buried alive never appeared. Fei Duan carefully glanced at Naruto. Naruto no longer paid any attention to him. Instead, with his back facing him, he controlled the metal to float around him as if he was deep in thought. What's wrong with boss? Was he thinking about how to bury him alive? Or was he thinking about where to bury it? Fei Dan kicked anxiously. Lumps of metal floating in the air fell and condensed into swords. A double-edged sword like the green sleeve sword. More than a dozen swords, one after another, flew around Naruto like dragons. When Naruto gathered the metal, he saw the lumps of metal flying towards him. Subconsciously he thought, would it look cool if they turned into swords? After all, flying swords were the means of immortals. Reality proved that he was indeed very handsome. But, was there any difference between this attack and the ice cones? It's just that it looks good. In essence, Naruto felt that he was bored enough. Then, all the metal fused together and turned into a large sword that was inserted in front of Fei Duan. Z. The metal inserted into the rock, and the ear-piercing sound of friction made Fei Duan's scalp tingle. Boss! The blade of the giant sword tilted towards Fei Duan. Naruto threatened. Hurry up, or I'll cut off your head and kick it like a ball. Although Fei Duan was unwilling, he still obeyed under Naruto's fierce gaze. In this battle, the two of them went back and forth. Naruto didn't use monster strength or cloning technique, and Fei Duan also controlled his strength to not agitate Naruto. After fighting like this for a few hours, they finally stopped. Forget it. Forget it. Naruto waved his hand. I'm not fighting anymore, it's boring. It was boring, because Naruto still hadn't found a suitable fighting method for himself. To say what a ninja's battle was, it was to kill the enemy, win, complete the mission, and live. And how to make it convenient and save effort in the battle is the right thing to do. Thinking like this, whether it was monster strength or cloning, he should make the best use of them. There was no reason not to use them. Not only that, the other chakra's nature changes should also be integrated into the battle. But how to integrate them is a problem. After all, Naruto knows too much. How about developing Rasengan? Integrating the nature changes into it? But Naruto knew the risks of doing that without trying. In terms of wind release, if the wind attribute chakra was integrated into Rasengan, it would be the wind release shuriken Rasengan. Before the wind release shuriken Rasengan could be thrown out, it was a move that hurt the enemy by 1,000 and hurt himself by 800. Then, Senjutsu? Naruto never gave up on cracking the curse seal on Hinata's body. Naruto wasn't the only one who didn't give up. Dabi and Uzumaki Mito were also studying it. Naruto entered the spiritual network. Mito, how is the research on the curse seal on Hinata's body going? Uzumaki Mito replied. The original idea of expanding part of the curse seal failed. The curse seal is originally one, and without understanding the core reaction mechanism, it is impossible to transplant the curse seal. What else can be done? You take the little flying squirrel and continue to stroll in the barren mountains, and say that you are still tracking Hiriko. After hearing this sentence, Haiden's face was no different from eating shit. He wanted to resist, but in the end he admitted it. Although running around in the barren mountains was boring, at least he didn't have to be tortured by Naruto. Okay. Fei Duan solemnly saluted and accepted the order. Naruto patted the dust on Haiden's body. When Obito no, that guy wakes up, you can return to the rain country. When Obito wakes up, or to be precise, when Shirsue's Kodo Amatsukami Sharingan recovers, then he will succeed in subduing Obito. When the time comes, I will also teach you Rasengan. Hearing Rasengan, Haiden trembled. Boss, that Rasengan can be taught. Naruto waved his hand. I promise you, I will definitely teach you. By the way, you should also study the newly fused Kekkei Genkai, and try to develop a few decent ninjutsu as soon as possible. Well, when you become stronger, I will fight you. Next time, I will use Monster Clone. Naruto didn't say this sentence. When Naruto returned to the Great Snow Mountain Research Institute, Hinata came to find him. Naruto-kun, Kakashi-sensei, and Kakashi, that troublesome guy. Naruto waved his hand. Let's talk about it tomorrow. I won't starve to death if I don't eat for a day. Hinata bit her lip, but thinking of before she said that she would listen to Naruto, she nodded. After sending Hinata away, Naruto returned to his room and thought again. With a wave of his hand, a finger-length sword appeared in front of him. The sword circled around Naruto like a satellite. Then Naruto also took out the blue sleeve sword. Since all the means are his own strength, then this sword is naturally also the sword of Kusanagi that he didn't want to return to Sasuke. Naruto's eyes moved. He stared at the blue sleeve sword. In the battle with Hiriko, The blue sleeve sword's scabbard played a miraculous role. He pulled out the blue sleeve sword. Naruto put the blue sleeve sword aside and played with the scabbard. Then under his control, the scabbard also flew around him. Suddenly, Naruto had an idea. How about fusing the curse seal with the flying sword? At that time, wherever the flying sword flies, it will be affected by the slow barrier. Chapter 501. Asterisk clang clang clang. Asterisk someone knocked on the door. Hinata stood outside the door and said, "Naruto-kun, time to eat." There was no response. Could it be that Naruto-kun is asleep? In fact, Hinata could use the system's chat function to directly contact Naruto, but Naruto finally returned, so Hinata wanted to spend more time with Naruto, or rather, let Naruto accompany her. "Naruto-kun." Hinata called out softly, but there was still no response. Hinata stood outside the door, not knowing whether to continue knocking or leave. Even if he's tired and wants to sleep, he should at least eat before sleeping. While Hinata was pondering, she suddenly thought of a bad possibility. Could it be that Naruto-kun left again? Hinata's heart skipped a beat. She opened the Snow Mountain Research Institute's map and used her 4-star privileges to check the members' locations. Sure enough, Naruto's location wasn't in the Snow Mountain Research Institute, nor was he in the Snow Country. After searching for the members' locations, it showed that Naruto was in the Earth Country. Naruto-kun left again? Hinata suddenly felt dejected. Originally, Hinata thought that after learning how to control seals, she would be able to help Naruto and be together with Naruto. But who would have thought that everything would be the same as before? Hinata leaned against Naruto's door and bit her lip, unwilling to give up. She opened the system's chat function and wanted to talk to Naruto. But she hesitated. Perhaps Naruto was busy right now. If he was busy, she suddenly contacted Naruto for no reason, who said that there was nothing to do. Eating was also a big deal. Hinata didn't have much confidence and muttered in a low voice, "I'll just ask him if he's coming back for dinner." After gathering her courage, Hinata finally clicked on Naruto's profile picture. The call link was successfully established. "Naruto-kun, are you coming back for dinner?" On the other end, Naruto replied, "You guys eat first. I have something to do. Just leave some leftovers for me." "Anything else?" Hinata tensed up when she heard that. As expected, Naruto has something to do. Am I disturbing Naruto by doing this? Hinata felt a little guilty and hurriedly replied, "I'm fine." Beep. Call ended for a moment. Hinata seemed to have used up all her strength. She leaned against the door and collapsed, staring blankly at Naruto's profile picture on the control panel. He had no idea what was going through his mind. No, she knew what she was thinking. She wanted to be with Naruto. Whether it was eating or fighting, she wanted to be by Naruto's side. But it wasn't wrong to say that she didn't know what she was thinking. Wanting to be with Naruto was the result. She didn't know what to do to achieve this result. Hinata pursed her lips and said angrily, "I don't know what Naruto is busy with now." A little bat stuck its little head out from Hinata's long black hair. Squeak squeak. The little bat nudged Hinata's cheek with its head. Hinata held the little fellow in her palm. "I'm so useless." The little bat quickly shook its head. Squeak. Squeak. What was Naruto doing? He was using Fei Duan to test his sword. He was testing his newly developed flying sword. "Hey, don't run!" Naruto shouted. Fei Duan in front ran even faster. The two of them ran wildly, one in front and one behind. They crossed the border between the Earth Nation and the Fire Nation. They stepped into the Gobi Desert. "I say, why are you running?" Naruto's fastest speed was the Wind Escape Storm Wound in 4-gear mode. But that move could only be used once. It wasn't suitable for this kind of protracted chase. So Naruto opened the third gate of the 8 inner hidden gates that he hadn't used in a long time. The Gate of Life. This time, he used the body flicker technique. "Hey, if you run again, I'll beat you up." Naruto shouted and Fei Duan ran even faster. Naruto was angry. He just wanted to test his newly developed flying sword. Running like this, huh? He was running like this? It didn't affect his sword testing. The slow enchantment was used to restrain speed. You asked for it. Naruto waved his hand and the green sleeve sword appeared in Naruto's hand. He controlled the green sleeve sword with puppet strings. Under Naruto's control, the green sleeve sword turned around and shot towards Fei Duan. 500 meters, 100 meters, 50 meters. As the flying sword approached Fei Duan, the slow enchantment was activated. Fei Duan's speed changed from a lively rabbit to a slow snail. Naruto easily caught up with Fei Duan and patted him on the shoulder. "You ran pretty fast." Fei Duan opened his mouth and spoke like a slow-motion recorder. Naruto removed the slow enchantment. Fei Duan finally spoke fluently. "Boss, I really didn't mean to run." The corner of Naruto's mouth twitched. Didn't mean to? How could running away be unintentional? Naruto really wanted to slap Haiden's face and ask him if he did it on purpose. Did he let him run? But he didn't say this out loud. Instead, he praised him. "Well, you did a good job. Continue." Fei Duan was stunned. "Boss, what continue?" Naruto pointed to the front. "Keep running." Fei Duan hesitated. Naruto's face darkened and he said fiercely, "If you don't run, I'll beat you up." Fei Duan jogged. Naruto shouted, "Quick!" With the blink technique, Fei Duan dashed out with a whoosh. Naruto controlled the flying sword and chased after him. But this time, the flying sword failed to catch up to Fei Duan twice. Fei Duan's speed was obviously faster than before. Naruto removed the puppet line and used steel release to control the direction. Magnetic release. Repulsion. This time, the flying sword's speed increased. He caught up to Fei Duan again. The slow enchantment was activated, and Fei Duan's body slowed down again. Naruto walked closer and removed the slow enchantment. Not fast enough. Again. As he spoke, he kicked Fei Duan's butt. Fei Duan begged for mercy. "Boss, I was wrong. I won't run anymore." Naruto's face was fierce. "I'll let you run." Another kick. Fei Duan jogged. Naruto's face was fierce as he shouted, "Quick! Speed up!" Fei Duan's speed increased again. Once, twice, thrice. He caught Fei Duan, let him go, and let him go again. He didn't know how many times he cycled. "Boss, I was really wrong. I'll do whatever you say. Let me go." Naruto kicked Fei Duan's butt. "I'll let you run." However, when Fei Duan began to pay attention to the flying sword and avoid it, it was difficult for Naruto to catch him again. If there were a few more swords to surround Fei Duan, Naruto made a few flying swords without curse seals, then used the fake ones to scare Fei Duan. Surrounded by 3 and missing 1, Fei Duan naturally came in front of the real one. Then he caught him again. But this trick didn't last long. Fei Duan began to use his tentacles to probe. Then he broke through from the position of the fake flying sword. "Alright, let's call it a day." Naruto stopped and sheathed the green sleeve sword. The other fake flying swords turned back into metal blocks and were put away by Naruto. Fei Duan was still running. Naruto ignored him and went straight back to the Great Snow Mountain Research Institute. "Hinata, did you leave any leftovers for me?" Hinata wanted to say that she didn't leave any leftovers, but when the words came to her mouth, it became, yes. When the food was on the table, Hinata watched Naruto eat the food she made, and her heart warmed. But she wanted to say that she didn't eat either. "Do you want to see Teacher Kakashi?" Naruto suddenly asked. Hinata replied subconsciously, yes. Chapter 502. Naruto was very conflicted about Kakashi. He didn't want to face Kakashi. It wasn't that he felt that he had done something wrong. In Naruto's dictionary, there was no such thing as doing something wrong. He was just afraid that Kakashi would be too stubborn. He was afraid that Kakashi would make a move. Hinata, that Naruto had thought of finding a random place to put Kakashi. He could add some drugs or remove the curse at a fixed time, so that Kakashi wouldn't be able to see him when he woke up. But Hinata wanted to see Kakashi. How? Take a look from afar? Or do they have to talk face to face? Naruto felt that it would be good to take a look from afar. But looking at Hinata's nervous look, he thought about it and decided to forget about it. Okay. After I finish eating, we'll go and see Kakashi-sensei. Naruto's eating speed increased. After a few bites, he stuffed plates of food into his stomach. Hinata looked at the food and wanted to say something, but she hesitated. Naruto noticed that something was wrong with Hinata this time. Why didn't you eat? Naruto looked at Hinata with some embarrassment. He glanced at the dining table from the corner of his eyes. There was still a plate of food left and a bowl of rice in the pot. Hinata blushed and didn't tell the truth because she was nervous. I ate. I was thinking that Kakashi-sensei hasn't eaten yet. Naruto rolled his eyes. Don't worry about him. When the time comes, just give him a few soldier food pills. With that, Naruto prepared to eat the rest of the food. But after thinking about it, he put down his chopsticks. Forget it, leave it for him. But he can eat a lot. If he's hungry for too long, his stomach won't be able to digest it. In that case, he'll have to eat soldier food pills. Let's go and see our Kakashi-sensei. The two of them came to the place where the 5 coffins were placed. Hinata noticed that the curse seal on the coffin had been removed. Naruto-kun, the curse seal is gone. Hinata looked at Naruto. Don't tell me teacher came out by himself? Naruto waved his hand. No, I asked Belu to do it last night. Did Naruto-kun activate the curse seal last night? Naruto-kun, he actually also wanted to see Kakashi-sensei. For a moment, the image of Naruto looking at Kakashi with a face full of nostalgia appeared in Hinata's mind. Walking to the front of the coffin, Chakra connected the cord to the coffin lid, and the coffin lid opened. Inside the coffin, Kakashi lay quietly. Naruto snapped his fingers. Pa! Get up, it's daybreak. The curse seal on Kakashi's body was removed. Kakashi abruptly opened his eyes. At this time, Kakashi's memory was still stuck at the time before he was locked inside the coffin. Kakashi didn't jump out of the coffin, and instead looked doubtfully at Naruto. At first glance, he didn't recognize Naruto. The reason why he didn't jump out of the coffin and attack was because Kakashi knew that Belu had placed a puppet curse on him. Since he couldn't get rid of the puppet curse, he couldn't fight back. So he gave up on resisting. But who was this person in front of him? The first person he saw wasn't Belu, nor was it one of Belia's subordinates, which made Kakashi a bit confused. Kakashi-sensei. Hinata spoke. Hinata's voice hadn't changed much in the past year. This made Kakashi recognize him at once. Hinata took a step closer to the coffin that Kakashi was lying in. Kakashi finally saw Hinata. Hataki, Tian. Hinata's hair had grown longer, and she had also grown taller. This made Kakashi a bit uncertain. But the way she called out Kakashi-sensei told him that she was his student. Hinata, you. How did you grow so tall? Did I sleep for too long? Whether it was Hinata's growth speed or Naruto's growth speed, they were both monstrous compared to their peers. Naruto's main focus was the 9 tails chakra, while Hinata had to thank the 9th Lama-sensei for his sumptuous ninja beast meal. Without waiting for Hinata to answer, Kakashi asked, "Where's Belu?" But to his surprise, Hirako responded, "I'm here." Naruto rolled his eyes and glared at Belu. "Go back to your work." Belu nodded and bowed, then picked up the mop and continued mopping. Kakashi sat up and saw Belu mopping the floor. This scene made Kakashi feel a bit ridiculous. Why would Belu mop the floor? Where are his subordinates? He looked back at Naruto. Who is this person? Belia's superior? But this face. Why does it feel so familiar? Naruto felt a bit uncomfortable being stared at by Kakashi. He cleared his throat. Ahem, Kakashi-sensei. I know you can't recognize my handsome face, so let me introduce myself. My name is Uzumaki Naruto. Uzumaki Naruto. As soon as he heard this name, Kakashi finally understood where the sense of familiarity came from. But why is Naruto so tall? Even Minato-sensei wasn't this tall. And his hair. Could it be Kushina's genes? And his eyes, that red vertical pupil. This eye reminded him of 9 tails. And the other eye. Kakashi felt a sudden pain in his heart. Naruto's other eye was covered with an eye patch. What happened? Is Naruto's left eye blind? Kakashi had a lot to say, but he didn't know what to say. Wait. Is this really Naruto? Then why would Belu listen to Naruto's words? What's the relationship between Naruto and Belu? For a moment, Kakashi felt like his brain wasn't enough, and he didn't know what to say. Can you explain it to me? Although Kakashi was shocked, he didn't lose his mind. As the former captain of the Woodleaf Umbu, Kakashi's heart has been honed to the point that he can remain calm in any situation. Not to mention he was once Naruto of the Woodleaf. Naruto nodded and smiled. Of course, in short, I saved you from Bailu. And then, I subdued him. This sentence was really short and concise. Kakashi glanced at Bailu from the corner of his eyes. Bailu was diligently mopping the floor. Let's not talk about this for now. Kakashi asked again. Why did you leave the Woodleaf? Naruto looked at Kakashi. Kakashi used the word leave, not betray. So it seems that Kakashi didn't consider him a traitor. But the last time he returned to the Woodleaf, Naruto heard other people call him that. Traitor. Orochimaru left for the same reason I left. Naruto could have said it more beautifully, but the words were simplified when they came to his mouth. This sentence is quite thought-provoking. But it's also the truth. Orochimaru left to study the forbidden technique of immortality. Although Naruto didn't leave to study the forbidden technique, he is currently studying it. Naruto, you. Kakashi looked at Naruto, and the look in his eyes became more complicated. Naruto smiled and shook his head. That's not important. Hinata misses you. Talk to Hinata. Kakashi turned to Hinata and frowned. Frowning, she asked, Hinata, do you know what you're doing? The joy on Hinata's face has long been hidden in the conversation between Naruto and Kakashi. After a year, the teacher and student met again, but there were no tears as expected. Hinata knows what she is doing, Kakashi asked. Then does your father know what he is doing? Hinata bit her lip. Father, he knows that I left, but he doesn't know what I am doing. Kakashi's heart became more complicated. However, Hinata and Naruto are different. Hyuga Hayashi has applied to cancel Hinata's ninja file. Hinata is not a Woodleaf ninja now. Therefore, there is no betrayal. Naruto, I want to beat you now. Naruto's heart was complicated, and he smiled bitterly. Anyway, I saved your life. Kakashi still stared at him. His gaze was firm. Naruto said seriously, You can't beat me now. This is a very honest sentence, so it's even more painful. Kakashi's face darkened. That's not necessarily the case. Naruto pointed to Hirako and said, There is nothing not necessarily the case. You were caught by Hirako, and I easily defeated him. Kakashi's face became even darker. The forehead protector was opened. Chapter 503. Kakashi-sensei Naruto-kun. Can you not fight? Kakashi opened his forehead protector and stared at Naruto with his Sharingan. Naruto stood in place and looked at him with a playful smile. When the two were at each other's throats, Hinata couldn't help but persuade. If it was a normal duel, it wouldn't be a big deal, but Kakashi opened his Sharingan. This means that Kakashi is going to use his full strength. What is the full strength of a ninja? It's a fight to the death. Because a ninja's ability is to kill. The atmosphere was very heavy. Kakashi couldn't help but glance at Hirako from the corner of his eyes. He still has Hirako's puppet technique. If Hirako interferes, he can't do anything. In Kakashi's field of vision, Hirako was still mopping the ground. He was very serious. He didn't raise his head or open his eyes. He just stared at the ground. Brush, brush. Brush, brush. Brush, brush. I came out this time to bring you back to Woodleaf. Kakashi retracted his gaze and looked at Naruto again. Naruto asked back, Why do you want to bring me back? Kakashi wanted to say go home, but he also saw that Naruto didn't treat Woodleaf as his home. Kakashi walked out of the coffin. He looked around, but this is a closed space, and the light source is the overhead light. It's impossible to tell where he is now. Woodleaf is your home. The place where your father and mother lived and protected. In the end, Kakashi still said this sentence. Naruto looked at Kakashi and didn't answer. Instead, he asked, I know from Hirako that you left Woodleaf to look for me. But you know that the person you are chasing is not me, but Orochimaru in disguise. Orochimaru? Orochimaru in disguise as Naruto? What's going on? Kakashi furrowed his brows. What do you mean? Naruto pointed at himself. You don't need me to say that, do you? The Naruto you saw in the Woodleaf didn't look like me, did he? Kakashi was enlightened. The Naruto that appeared in the wood leaf had changed very little from the Naruto of the past. It was still blonde hair. Then if the Naruto in front of him was real, then the one in the wood leaf must be fake. I really didn't sleep for long? Kakashi saw Naruto shaking his head. If that was the case, then there was indeed a problem. Then how do you know it's Orochimaru? Naruto didn't want to explain too much, so he simply replied, Orochimaru just wanted to tell you that I'm still alive. As for why he did that, maybe it's because I have some conflicts with him, and he wants to give me some trouble. Kakashi stared at Naruto. Naruto didn't seem to be lying. If Naruto didn't lie, then Orochimaru. He took away the ashes of the Yondaime-sama couple. What did he want to do? Wait. The ashes of the Yondaime-sama couple. If it was Orochimaru, he definitely wouldn't just take away the ashes of the Yondaime-sama couple. Not good. Naruto Sandaime-sama. The blue veins on Kakashi's forehead jumped. His eyes suddenly narrowed. At the moment when he was angry, his Sharingan hurt. Kakashi raised his hand and put down his forehead protector, covering his Sharingan again. Kakashi hesitated. Should he say that Orochimaru took away the ashes of Naruto's parents? Have you seen Orochimaru? Kakashi looked at Naruto nervously. Naruto replied casually, I haven't seen him for a long time. Kakashi observed Naruto. He actually wanted to know from Naruto's reaction and words whether Orochimaru resurrected Yondaime-sama Naruto using Edo Tensei. But he couldn't see. How much do you know about the village? Naruto replied, I know almost everything. I know that Tsunade-sen left Wood Leaf, and I know that you became Naruto. By the way, I haven't congratulated you yet. Congratulations to Kakashi-sensei for becoming the 6th Naruto-sama. Naruto was beaming with joy, as if it was the new year. This wasn't an act. He was happy to see Kakashi again. Kakashi said helplessly, What's there to congratulate? But on second thought he was Naruto then. Naruto, the sisters you met in Wood Leaf are gone, and your shops are unattended now. Naruto looked at Kakashi with a smile. Why, if I go back, those shops will still be mine. Kakashi was about to nod. Naruto suddenly said, I killed Udatain Koharu and Mitokado Hamura. For a time, the atmosphere that had just recovered was completely destroyed. Naruto smiled and said, Assassinating 2 elders is a big crime. I'm a traitor, so I don't dare to go back with you. Kakashi stared at Naruto, and the anger in his heart was about to rise to his throat. Naruto, I want to beat you. Naruto smiled and said, You said it just now, but I didn't see you do it. Kakashi suddenly retreated and removed his blindfold again. He fished around the coffin and held Big White Tooth in his hand. Sharingan opened. Wood Leaf Kenjutsu. Dance of the 3 Suns and Moons. Kakashi pulled out White Tooth and stared at Naruto. Dance of the 3 Suns and Moons is a combination of Kenjutsu and Genjutsu. Opening Sharingan will increase the power of Genjutsu. For a time, in front of Naruto, Kakashi became erratic. Like a stream of ink, one turned into 3. They attacked him. The power of Dance of the 3 Suns and Moons is to weaken the 5 senses of people, and it has an effect similar to a slow barrier. When Kakashi attacked, Hinata directly opened the Byakugan without thinking. Then she planned to enter the curse seal mode. But Naruto's voice suddenly came from the spiritual link. Don't do it, leave it to me. In this way, Hinata stopped activating the curse seal. The 3 Kakashi slashed at Naruto at a very fast speed. Naruto still didn't move. But Kakashi suddenly lost control of White Tooth in his hand and couldn't get close to Naruto. It was as if it was suddenly fixed in midair. Since White Tooth couldn't be used, Kakashi's first round of attack was lifted. Naruto smiled. White Tooth suddenly accelerated, broke free from Kakashi's hand, and circled around Naruto. This is the use of magnet release and steel release, and directly took away the control of the weapon. Naruto didn't continue to attack, and stood quietly looking at Kakashi. Kakashi felt a tingling from his Sharingan. Then the scene in front of him changed greatly, and Kakashi felt that he was tied to the stone pillar by chains. The Genjutsu was reflected. How? What happened? Naruto also knows Genjutsu? But this is impossible. Even if Naruto knows Genjutsu, There is no reason to win against him. His eyes are Sharingan. Although in the past he only used it to copy ninjutsu. But he also has great initiative in genjutsu. Sleep, Kakashi-sensei. When you wake up, you will go home. Naruto's voice came from all directions. White snowflakes suddenly fell in the dark space, fluttering, the moment Kakashi saw the snowflakes. His eyelids became heavier and heavier. This is genjutsu hypnosis. So sleepy, I want to sleep, can't sleep. Will must be firm. Can't be affected by genjutsu. But in the end, Kakashi closed his eyes. Genjutsu he lost. Chapter 504. Hinata exclaimed, Naruto-kun, Kakashi-sensei. He Kakashi, who had been hit by the genjutsu, went limp and was about to fall to the ground. Naruto appeared behind Kakashi and supported the unconscious Kakashi. Then he put Kakashi back into the coffin. It's okay, I just let him sleep. After putting Kakashi into the coffin, Dabaya also flew over and landed in the coffin, lying down with Kakashi. It's just that this meeting seems to be over. Naruto looked up at Hinata. He apologized. I'm sorry. This meeting should have disappointed you. Hinata shook her head. As long as Kakashi-sensei is fine, Naruto-kun, you don't have to blame yourself. A trace of blood flowed out of Kakashi's closed Sharingan. Naruto covered it with his hand so that Hinata couldn't see it, and helped Kakashi heal his eyes. Then he took out a soldier food pill and stuffed it into Kakashi's mouth. With another wave of his hand, the puppet thread connected to the coffin, and the coffin lid was closed. I'm going to send Kakashi-sensei away. Hinata was anxious. Naruto-kun, let me go with you. Naruto waved his hand. No need, I'll be back soon. Naruto's spiritual body left his body, and went into the corpse coffin standing by the wall. Lying in the corpse coffin was Fugu. Naruto went into Fugu's spiritual space, and used the connection between Fugu and Little Flying Squirrel to transfer to Little Flying Squirrel. In the spiritual network, Little Gyo, take the coffin, I'm going to summon you. Little Flying Squirrel opened his eyes. At this time, he was in Fei Duan's pocket. Ha! The little guy is awake? Naruto glanced at Fei Duan with disdain and said bluntly, I'm your boss. Fei Duan's little face turned pale with fright. Bo. Boss, you still want to train? Naruto rolled his eyes at Fei Duan. You're so useless. Then he used his identity card to summon his real body. The halo flashed, and with a bang, Kyuubi appeared in front of Naruto holding a coffin. Naruto's spirit body returned to his main body. Would clone. Yo. Main body, we meet again. As soon as the clone opened its mouth, Naruto's face darkened. Have you ever seen a doppelganger greet the main body? Moreover, he was so talkative. Naruto didn't say anything and handed the coffin to his clone. The doppelganger suddenly stood at attention. I promised to complete the mission. Then he carried Kakashi's coffin and started running. He disappeared in the blink of an eye. It was in the direction of the wood leaf. Boss, this is... Naruto turned his head and glanced at Fei Duan. Don't have any ideas about that coffin. Fei Duan immediately nodded obediently. Naruto wanted to send Kakashi back to the wood leaf? No, Naruto just let his clone carry Kakashi to the wood leaf. He would run as far as he could. But before the clone was dispelled, Naruto would never know what the clone had done. When Kaka woke up, the first thing he felt was the weapon pressing down on his arm. The metallic texture was very familiar to the touch. It was big white teeth. The inside of the coffin was very dark. There was no light at all. His body seemed to be floating, and there was the sound of water in his ears. What was going on? Kakashi waited quietly for a long time. There was no sound except the sound of water. Then Kakashi carefully tried to push the coffin lid. The coffin lid was easily pushed open. Moonlight shone in through the gap. It was night. Kakashi made a judgment. There was still only the sound of water around. Kakashi used his hands and feet to hold up the coffin lid. Then he carefully moved the coffin lid bit by bit. He took it gently and didn't make too much noise. The coffin lid was opened wide, and a bright starry sky entered his sight. The sound of water splashing in his ears. His body was floating. Was he on water? Kakashi sat up and saw that he was on a raft, There was no one on the raft, and the oars were paddling by themselves. Seeing this scene at night was simply King crazy. Kakashi only felt his scalp go numb. The oars he was paddling were really strange. There was no one around. No one. And the oars were moving. No matter how strong Kakashi was and how many people he killed, his heart couldn't help but pound at night. At this moment he suddenly heard a voice behind him. "You're awake." Where did the voice come from when there was no one around? Tongue. Kakashi was so scared that his hair stood on end. He jumped out of the coffin with big white teeth in his hand. Like a cat whose tail had been stepped on, he jumped high into the air. How could there be a voice when there was no one around? This scared Kakashi quite a bit. Then he saw Naruto's head sticking out of the raft. "Since you're awake, my mission is complete." Kakashi's heart was still pounding. "Naruto? You also know would release." Kakashi finally understood what was going on. Naruto didn't reply to him and replied, "I'm leaving. I'm looking forward to our next meeting, Kakashi-sensei." Bang. The raft disappeared, and the coffin directly fell into the water. Kakashi inserted chakra into his feet and stood steadily on the water. When he raised his head and looked around, Kakashi was stunned. There was water everywhere, and the sky was a thin line. It was pitch black. Where is this? At the same time, Naruto, who hadn't slept yet, was also shocked. The moment the clone was released, the clone's memory was also transmitted to Naruto. Naruto couldn't help but swear. F***ck. Why did you throw Sensei Kaka into the sea? Naruto used the wood-release clone to teach the clone a lesson. What's wrong with you? The new clone was dumbfounded. Main body. I didn't do that. Naruto opened his mouth, then raised his hand and patted the clone's shoulder. It's okay, I don't want to criticize you. I just want to say, well done. You guys are too talented. The clone's face lit up. Ahahaha, I'm flattered. It's because the main body is talented that we can follow. At that time, I was also tired from running, and happened to see a river that seemed to lead to the wood leaf. Naruto said with a smile. So you turned into a bamboo raft and carried Kakashi down the river? The clone scratched his head and said, ha 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 ha, this saves effort. Naruto's face suddenly became serious. Didn't you say it wasn't you? The clone froze. If others saw Naruto chatting with his clone, they would definitely think of Naruto as a lunatic. But Naruto's clone was really weird. The clone said matter-of-factly, that was done by the clone. I'm also a clone, so it's the same if you say I did it. But it's also true if you say I didn't do it. Naruto raised his right eyelid and said to himself, in my memory, Kakashi's location, the river shouldn't be too far from the sea. Sensei Kakashi should be fine, right? The clone muttered to himself, it's only been 2 days and 2 nights. I didn't speed up much on the way, so it shouldn't be too far. Naruto also noticed the number in his memory. 2 days and 2 nights. Kakashi should be able to come back, right? Kakashi is so powerful, he should be able to come back. On the sea, Kakashi hated Naruto so much that the roots of his teeth itched. He cursed, Naruto. Little bastard, just you wait. You better not get caught by me. Otherwise. Kakashi thought of something awkward. He didn't seem to be able to beat Naruto. The sound of a steam whistle came from afar. Kakashi hurriedly opened his forehead protector. With the vision of his Sharingan, Kakashi saw a cargo ship in the darkness in the distance heading towards him. There's hope. Kakashi ran towards the cargo ship. However, the cargo ship was turning around. Kakashi was anxious. Hey! Don't run. Help! Kakashi swore that he even used all his strength to suck his mother's milk. At the same time, he kept cursing Naruto in his heart. Great Snow Mountain Research Institute, after removing the clone. Naruto looked at the newly transplanted eye on Danzo's arm. This eye was replaced from Kakashi's body. It was Obito's other eye. Chapter 505. Akatsuki Meeting. Naruto and Hiden's projections appeared on the Geto Mazo's fingertips one after another. Then a few more people appeared, and Deidara was one of them. When Deidara saw Naruto, he complained, "Aren't you done yet? It's been a month." As soon as Deidara opened his mouth, Sasori, who was not far away, also looked over. They were all projections of colorful streamers, so he couldn't see their expressions, but Naruto knew that they were worried about him. Hayden, who appeared behind Naruto, replied exaggeratedly, "You don't know how cunning Hirako is." While Hayden and Deidara were talking, a few more projections appeared. At this point, only 2 of the 10 fingers were unoccupied. Pain said, "Well, everyone is here. Now I'm here to inform you of something." "Everyone is here?" Naruto looked at the 2 empty positions. Uchiha Itachi and Kisame haven't arrived yet. Deidara glanced at the empty position and shouted, "How come there are only 8 people? Don't tell me that those 2 are dead?" Deidara's tone was a bit strange. After all, the relationship between Deidara and Uchiha Itachi has always been bad, because of some competitive relationship. Pain didn't look at him and said indifferently, "What I'm going to say next is related to those 2. They encountered some trouble in the process of chasing Orochimaru. Deidara, Sasori, you will go to support them." Deidara was stunned for a moment, then pointed to himself in disbelief. "You want me to support him?" Yahiko finally moved and turned to look at Deidara. "Is there a problem?" Deidara's momentum was extinguished. He laughed. No problem, it's just..." Pain didn't wait for Deidara to say it, and directly said, "Well, if there's no problem, then this task will be handed over to you. You will be in the country of rain, and the specific task will be sent to you." At this time, Tsunade took the initiative to ask, "That kid doesn't seem to like to go. Why don't you let me go? I'm very interested in Orochimaru." When Deidara heard this, he hurriedly passed the buck and said, "Then let." But before she could say anything, Yahiko rejected her. "No, it's just you guys." Tsunade was silent. Naruto glanced at Tsunade, thinking about Itachi and Orochimaru. Uchiha Itachi found Orochimaru? Was it for the mission? Or was it because of Sasuke? But no matter what the reason was, as long as they met, Orochimaru will definitely reveal Sasuke's whereabouts to Itachi. The worst thing was, Orochimaru knew that Naruto had a base in the snow country. After Yahiko finished the task of hunting down Orochimaru, he asked Hayden about the progress of hunting down Hirako. "Hayden, when will your task be completed?" Fei Duan hurriedly replied with the words Naruto had told him. "We'll be able to complete the mission in a week at the latest." Yahiko was silent for a moment. "How is Hoodlum doing?" Fei Duan's mouth twitched. This action wasn't very clear in the streamer, but it was still visible. Then he said with dissatisfaction, "That guy is a troublemaker from the beginning to the end. If it weren't for him, we would have completed the mission." At the mention of Hoodlum, Zetsu also looked at him. "Is his performance not good? It seems that he's not ready to become an official member yet." Fei Duan continued to act. "It's not only not good, he didn't participate in the battle, but now we don't know where he went." "Where did Hoodlum go?" The meeting was silent for a while. Deidara was dissatisfied and couldn't help but complain. "Let me blow up that guy, so he won't make a fool of himself." But no one paid attention to him. The meeting was dismissed. In the forest of the Land of Fire, Fei Duan suddenly slumped to the ground and complained. Lying in front of so many perverts, the pressure is not ordinary." The idea of saying that Obito was missing was Naruto's idea. In the original plan, Naruto planned to wait for Obito to go back with the team. But then he suddenly thought of one thing, that is, the 3 white Zetsu on Obito's body were destroyed by him. The 3 white Zetsu can no longer be restored, and it will inevitably be noticed by Zetsu. It's better to say that Obito disappeared halfway, so that even if Zetsu noticed, they would only focus on Obito. Good performance. On the branch, the little flying squirrel crossed his legs and praised Fei Duan. Fei Duan turned over and lay on the ground, whispering to the little flying squirrel on the branch, "Since Hoodlum is not with us, can I go back to the Land of Rain first?" In this month, Naruto's main body would use him to practice, and there were new tricks every day, from one sword to a group of swords. Not to mention these, what Fei Duan couldn't stand the most was that some swords were not only cold and fire, but also poisonous. And it was the kind that could paralyze him for a morning. Anyway, he had had enough. Naruto jumped down from the tree. "What's the hurry?" I won't be idle even if I go back. I will definitely be assigned other tasks. With that, Naruto got into Fei Duan's pocket. I'm leaving, protect this body for me. With that, Naruto's spiritual body left. Fei Duan's mouth twitched, and he muttered in a low voice. I'd rather go back to do the task. Great Snow Mountain Research Institute, Pharmacist Pocket's dissection room. Naruto, who had nothing to do, suddenly stiffened and then became serious. Pharmacist Pocket noticed this and confirmed, Boss, you're back? Naruto stretched his body. I'm back. Let's continue the operation. On the operating table, Obito was lying on the operating table calmly. Start injecting the nerve paralysis agent. Naruto ordered. Pharmacist Pocket took out a needle and extracted the liquid. I want 10 people's dose. As soon as Naruto spoke, Pharmacist Pocket stiffened, but he still followed Naruto's instructions. The injection was completed, and it took 2 minutes. Naruto came in front of Obito and made a hand seal. The curse on Obito was lifted. Naruto's Sharingan stared at Obito. Spiritual shock. Wake up. A loud shout went straight into Obito's spiritual world. Obito opened his eyes. Not one eye, but a pair of eyes. Behind the mask was also a Sharingan. Of course, this one was definitely not the original. It should be one of the batch that Obito took away on the day of the Uchiha clan's destruction. The nerve paralysis agent took effect. Obito felt very bad, and his eyelids were heavy. He looked at Naruto in a trance. In Obito's vision, Naruto was double. Don't underestimate the nerve paralysis agent for 10 people. This amount of 10 people's dose is not calculated according to the dose of ordinary people. It is calculated according to the dose that paralyzes a Jonin. So even if Hashirama's cells were transplanted, it was very difficult for Obito. However, Naruto believed that as long as Obito was given a little more time, with the strength and abnormality of Hashirama's cells, Obito would definitely recover far faster than ordinary people. Naruto stared at Obito, and the 3 Tomo Sharingan in his left eye changed into Mangekyo Sharingan. Around the pupil, it extended on one side of the square. In the same direction, there were 4 sharp horns like shurikens. Kodo Amatsukami. Chapter 506. Kodo Amatsukami's Sharingan opened. With the experience of the first time, Naruto used it more smoothly this time. What's your name? Naruto's voice came into Obito's ears. Obito's eyes were empty. He looked at Naruto, but his eyes seemed to be looking into the distance. Uchiha Obito. You killed your sensei. Do you feel guilty? Naruto looked down at Obito. Tears suddenly came out of Obito's eyes. Yes, Kodo Amatsukami's Sharingan. Naruto's will and Obito's will met in the space created by Kodo Amatsukami. It was a boundless expanse of darkness. In the darkness, Obito knelt on the ground in pain and cried. In front of Obito, a tombstone appeared. Naruto glanced at it. It was Rin's tombstone. Obito looked up at the tombstone and cried even more sadly. At this time, other pictures appeared around him, some beautiful pictures of playing together in the past. In the pictures there was Rin, Kakashi, and his sensei. The beautiful pictures made Obito sob. He looked up from the ground and stared at those pictures. At the moment when his tears were about to stop, he suddenly saw Kakashi's sword piercing Rin's body. No! Obito screamed at the top of his lungs. The beautiful pictures were all broken. What was left behind was only hatred that could drive people crazy. Naruto's eyes at the highest point in the world. It was Kodo Amatsukami's Sharingan, looking down at everything in front of him. Then Obito suddenly changed his words. No! It's all Sensei's fault. He didn't save Rin. It's his fault. He made me lose the most important thing in this world. And Kakashi. Is that so? Naruto didn't know what to say for a while. If one day Hinata was killed by someone, then he probably wouldn't be any better than the crazy Obito. For a time, Naruto felt that Obito was very pitiful. Scenes appeared one after another. Those were Obito's memories. Naruto could see what he wanted to see and what he didn't want to see. Among them, Naruto also saw Uchiha Madara. An old lunatic, a little lunatic made by an old lunatic? Let's start brainwashing. For a time, the whole space suddenly stopped. The pictures around Obito began to break. 1, 2. It was very romantic, as beautiful as the fireworks in the sky. Those pictures were Obito's feelings for Rin. Was Obito's love for Rin. Lin's grave began to fade away. The two of them lost their love and became strangers. The unforgettable scene was destined to sink into the ocean of memories and time. Rin's character's character became a normal's teammate who didn't care. Then, Obito's figure was pulled out of the memory of the fourth Hokage. From an executor to a bystander. Was bystander. The spot, who had pretended to be another person in his memory, had become an independent person. Memories, his's emotional breakdown souls ss. The scene in front of him began to rewind, back to Obito's birth. Then he began to deduce the new trajectory that Naruto had set. His entire memory had changed beyond recognition. At the same time, Obito's love for Rin was also transferred to other people. Originally, the various emotions caused by seeing Kakashi kill Rin were covered by the emotions caused by seeing Madara murder Minato. Madara killed my most beloved teacher. In this world, the only person that Sensei left behind is his son, Vortex Naruto. I want to protect him. Naruto's figure appeared in his memory. A golden soul power fell from the sky and merged into Obito's spiritual world. Once again, there were new changes in his memory. Naruto's will is teacher's will. I will be by his side. His happiness is my happiness. His enemy is my enemy. The Sharingan of Koto Amatsukami in the sky slowly closed. Peace returned to the world of darkness. When Obito woke up, he was lying in a warm and comfortable room. Obito yawned and stretched, turned his head and saw the three-pronged kunai on the bedside table. When he saw this kunai, Obito was obviously relieved. Good morning, Sensei, it's another bad day. Obito looked at other places. Everything was so familiar. Where's Naruto? Why didn't he call me to eat today? Obito looked up at the clock on the bedside. Well, it's so late. Obito couldn't help but shout. Naruto! Brat, did you finish all your food? Obito opened the quilt and rushed out. He slammed the door. The wind blew from between his legs, and the wind made his balls cold. Naruto stood in front of him with Hinata. Hinata blushed and turned her head. The blue veins on Naruto's head jumped. Old rogue. Is it fun to run around naked in the morning? Obito looked down stiffly, then closed the door 10 times faster than opening it, and returned to the room. Clack. This was the sound of the door being locked. Naruto-kun. Naruto turned around and left with Hinata. Well, I don't think this guy will come out for the next day. It seems to be successful. Naruto was relieved. From Obito's reaction, the memory he created has been effective. He didn't expect that the relic he got from Sandame Naruto would be used in this place. Sandame Naruto's relic, that is the three-pronged kunai that used the flying thunder god jutsu. That thing can't be forged. This will have a stable effect on the memory he created. Spiritual network. Naruto-kun. Hinata whispered. What's the matter? Naruto-kun, is this enough? Naruto replied. That's enough. Hinata nodded. After a while, Hinata said, Naruto-kun, are you leaving? Hinata lowered her head. Naruto looked at Hinata's disappointed expression and couldn't help but take Hinata's hand. Who said I'm leaving? Hinata bit her lip. This was an extremely tempting action in Naruto's eyes. His heartbeat quickened. Naruto-kun, can you take me with you? Naruto took a deep breath and calmed himself down. I'm not leaving. Where will I take you? Hinata raised her head with a pitiful expression. I know your main body won't leave, but, when little flying squirrel returns to the country of rain, you'll leave. Naruto could tell that Hinata was referring to his spiritual body. What are you worried about? I can come back anytime. Hinata didn't know what to say. In the end, she said what she wanted to say. Naruto-kun, can you take me with you? That's right. As she spoke, Hinata handed Little Bat to Naruto. Let Fei Duan take him with you. Naruto was somewhat dumbfounded. Naruto naturally recognized Little Bat. But why would he take Little Bat with him? Yesterday, I discovered that my thoughts can enter Little Bat's body. Naruto was still dumbfounded. What? Hinata repeated herself. Naruto blinked. Wasn't this a unique ability of his? Why was Hinata able to do it as well? After Hinata's thoughts entered Little Bat's body, Little Bat cautiously asked, Naruto-kun, can you take me with you? Naruto stared at Little Bat and blinked. Chapter 507. Did you enter the body of this little guy? Naruto looked at the little bat, and then turned to look at Hinata. Naruto noticed that when Hinata used her mind to control the little flying squirrel, her body was still standing on the side. This isn't soul transfer, right? It's just mind sharing, isn't it? Naruto also knows this trick, and he often uses this trick to control his doppelganger. However, Hinata replied with the body of the little bat. Yes. Naruto waved his hand. No, this is just mind control. It's fine if you are close, but if you are too far away, you will be affected by the instability of chakra around you. Hinata was unhappy. She lowered her head and murmured, then, Naruto-kun doesn't agree to take Hinata with us? She had practiced for a long time for this, but now it seems that her practice was in vain. Naruto looked at Hinata, who was suddenly disappointed, and comforted her. Akatsuki is not fun, even the buildings there are of the same style. It can't be compared to the current snow country. Besides, can't you go and play with the president and the others here? If you go with me, you won't be able to do whatever you want. Let's go and eat. Didn't you say that you will cook for me? Naruto held Hinata's hand, and the two of them went to the dining room. Naruto, didn't you say that you are going to invite another person? Little Gini looked at Naruto with a pitiful look. She didn't eat because Naruto said that there would be guests today. Hearing Gini's question, the others also looked at them. The dining table of the Great Snow Mountain Research Institute was Western style. It was a long rectangular table. On one side were people, Gini and the others. On the other side were beasts, Fatty, Naughty Snake, Rolling Panda, and the little white snake that Naruto caught and cultivated with Orochimaru's cells. That little white snake was named Orochimaru by Naruto. That guy won't be coming today, let's eat first. After the meal, Naruto thought for a while, and prepared a meal and brought it to Obito's room. The girls were chattering about their own affairs. After Naruto left, Gini asked Hinata, how was it? Did Naruto say that he will take you with him? Hinata helplessly told her about what happened just now. Little Gunny was also listening. When he heard about the distance limit of telekinesis, he immediately said, that's easy to solve. Just bind an identity card to your little bat. That way, two clients can establish a channel and telekinesis can be used directly. Gini's words made Hinata's eyes light up. Is it feasible? Although it was a question, Hinata already had the answer in her heart. It's feasible. Then, she picked up Gini and raised it high. In the spiritual network, in the independent group chat, Fatty suddenly said, what Gini can think of, boss can think of, but he didn't say it, which means he doesn't want you to go. Silence. The originally lively atmosphere suddenly became cold. Hinata lowered her head unhappily, and Gini glared at Fatty fiercely. However, he was defeated by Fatty's casual glance. Eldest senior brother's prestige was accumulated over a long period of time. She was afraid. On the other side, Naruto had already arrived outside Obito's door. Dang. 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 Naruto knocked on the wooden door, but the room was silent. Naruto knocked again. He shouted, aren't you hungry? If you aren't, I'll take the food away. There was no response. I'm leaving. With that, Naruto turned around with the plate in his hand. At this moment, the door was finally pushed open. Wait. Naruto turned his head to look at Obito. At this time, Obito was wearing his mask again. Wearing a mask at home. Do you feel ashamed to face others? Naruto joked. Obito snatched the plate in Naruto's hand, and then closed the door with a bang. Facing the closed door, Naruto rolled his eyes. Can a door stop me? This is my territory. With that, Naruto took a step forward. Would release. Naruto's body merged with the wooden door, and his legs stretched out. Step by step, he walked directly into the room. It looked like he was going through the wall. In the room, Obito, who had taken off his mask and was about to eat, hurriedly put it back on. Little bastard. This is my room. Who let you in? Obito was flustered, and he didn't have the slightest confidence in his words. Naruto looked at Obito contemptuously. Isn't it just someone seeing your little brother? What's the big deal? Hinata has seen it a few days ago when she was studying dissection with Kabuto. Obito's body stiffened, and then he roared. How can it be the same? Naruto thought for a moment and said seriously. It is indeed different, yours is smaller. Boom. Obito was like a bolt from the blue. However, Obito still wanted to struggle. Don't you feel ashamed to say such things? You are shameless, but Hinata is shameless. Naruto rolled his eyes at Obito. Hey, don't forget that my Hinata is from the Hyuga clan. She can see that thing even if she doesn't want to. I'm already tired of it. Boom. Obito was once again charred by Naruto's thunder. Then he quietly inquired. Is it so convenient to roll your eyes? Naruto's mouth twitched. Even if Obito was wearing a mask, his wretched aura still hit his face. Hurry up and eat. After eating, take me to see the space of your Sharingan. Obito hesitantly took off his mask and wolfed down the food. Is there anything else? After eating, Obito still felt that it was not enough. In fact, Obito's physical strength was indeed very high. Not to mention anything else, the potion for 10 people was a great burden. Open your mouth. When Naruto said, Obito subconsciously opened his mouth. With a whoosh, a small pill was thrown into Obito's mouth. The small pill melted in his mouth. Soon after, his hungry stomach was actually full. What did you give me? Naruto said as if it was a matter of course. Soldier food pill, tasteless, haven't you eaten it before? Obito stared at him. I came here and you gave me a soldier food pill? Naruto pointed to the messy plate. I also treated you to a big meal. Besides, that is a strong soldier food pill. I specially made it. The effect is particularly good. Well, the meal is over. Take me to see your space. Obito stared at Naruto with a dead fish's eyes. It can be seen that he was full of helplessness towards Naruto. Okay, I'll take you there. Obito raised his hand and pressed on Naruto's shoulder. Then the space between the two distorted, and the two disappeared in the rotation. When he reappeared, he was already in an empty space full of cubes. Obito grinned. Wow. Ha. Ha ha. Since you're in my space, it's up to me if you want to leave. Obito crossed his arms and appeared in front of Naruto with a proud face. The current Obito was a bit cheap. Naruto asked tentatively. Oh, then what do you want to let me out? Obito looked at Naruto with a smirk. Call me Uncle Obito, beg me. Ha. In the memory that Naruto gave to Obito, Naruto always ordered him around. He never called him uncle. So under the image of the memory, this became a problem for Obito? Naruto smirked. Do you think I will call you that? Obito proudly said. If you don't call me that, don't think about going out. Naruto took off the eye patch on his left eye. The corners of his mouth rose, and the 3 Tomo transformed into Mangekyo Sharingan. I won't call you that, I'll make you angry. Kamui. Chapter 508. Naruto went out. Obito stared blankly. He couldn't believe it and said to himself, Is this my other Sharingan? Isn't this eye on Kakashi's body? Naruto didn't change the memory of Obito's left eye. This is also to ensure the credibility of the memory. After all, Obito will meet Kakashi again in the future, and he will meet more people who know him. At that time, it will be easy to understand who the left eye was given to. Naruto didn't have time to change other people's memories. Naruto returned to Obito's room from the Kamui dimension. Obito also retreated from the Kamui dimension. This eye is mine, right? Isn't it on Kakashi's body? Why is it here? Naruto replied. Kakashi said that your eye is too wasteful for chakra, and it's a burden, so he asked me to change it for him. Obito stared blankly at Naruto, repeating Naruto's words in his heart. He was a little sad. Really? After all, he had entrusted this eye to Kakashi, hoping that Kakashi would take his place in this world and live on in his place. How can this guy, looking at Obito's sad face, Naruto shrugged and said, Well, to tell you the truth, I secretly changed this eye. Obito stared at Naruto, and for a moment his mind couldn't keep up with Naruto's thoughts. What did you exchange it for? Naruto said. Danzo's arm. In Obito's memory, this matter became a transaction between Madara and Danzo. Obito looked at the Sharingan in Naruto's left eye and hesitated. Naruto, this eye. Naruto smiled and said, ha. Obito licked his lips. After the Manjikyu Sharingan, there are more powerful tricks, but it requires 2 Sharingans to open, I think. Naruto replied decisively. No, since you can give it to that guy Kakashi, then giving it to me is the same, right? Obito looked embarrassed. What do you want this Sharingan for? Naruto said. It's very useful, just like just now. Without this eye, I would have been locked in a small black room by you. Obito explained. I didn't really want to lock you up. Naruto smiled. Who knows? Well, I've already seen the Kamui dimension, so I'll go. You can stay in this room by yourself. Obito wanted to stop him, but he didn't. Naruto's left. Obito was both angry and amused as he muttered. This brat, is it so difficult to make him call me uncle? As for the other Manjikyu Sharingan, Obito thought for a moment. If he wants to play, then let him play. After the inspection of Obito, Naruto was very excited. Obito's dimension is very big. A dimension that can hold living things, it's very useful. How can I use it? Naruto was thinking, when he saw Hinata waiting for him at the door. She pouted and looked unhappy. What's the matter? Who made my family's milady unhappy? Hinata raised her head and looked at Naruto fiercely. Stare. Hinata is usually very obedient and shy, and it's very rare for her to act like a spoiled child like today. Naruto lowered his head, and the two stared at each other. Then Naruto took advantage of Hinata's unpreparedness, and pecked her on the mouth. Hinata was stunned. Naruto-kun. Naruto was just about to run away. After all, the plot of a young couple should be you chasing me. However, Hinata shyly turned into steam and fainted. Naruto quickly turned around and caught Hinata. Hinata, who was in a daze, looked at Naruto with her big watery eyes. The sound of her heartbeat kept ringing out. Naruto. Although Hinata's age is good, her figure has long been far better than her peers. Staring at Hinata at such a close distance, Naruto's heart also started to thump loudly. Suddenly, 3 years in prison, death sentence is not a loss. No, who in this world can give him the death sentence? And it's consensual. Hinata is willing, isn't she? Naruto quietly moved closer to Hinata. Hinata's face did not move away. Then let's kiss her boldly. Thinking of his courage now. It's not as good as when he first came to this world. Naruto secretly scolded himself for being useless, gritted his teeth and planned to kiss her. Then he would give her a French kiss. What will it be like? Naruto has only heard of it but never seen it. However, Naruto didn't expect that behind him, on Obito's door, Obito's head was looking at him with a sneer. Then the bird quietly retracted its head. Clang. The door was pushed open. Obito shouted, Naruto. Naruto was shocked by this shout. Hinata also woke up from her tipsy haze. Waking up from the shock, her strength recovered. Hinata broke free from Naruto's arms. She ran away shyly without looking back. Fuck. Who ruined my good thing? Naruto suddenly turned his head and stared at Obito fiercely. You did it on purpose. Obito half opened his mouth. He did do it on purpose. But Naruto's aura made him a little scared. That. Naruto, you haven't left yet. Naruto's face became darker. Obito's voice was getting lower and lower. That. I thought you left, so I wanted to call you. Bang. Obito closed the door. Because Naruto rushed over. Would release through the door. You're finished. Naruto walked step by step toward Obito. Obito took a deep breath. That you have to calm down, and I am your elder. Naruto continued to walk with a dark face. Obito suddenly threatened. Besides, you can't beat me. Naruto clenched his fist and punched. Kamui Void. Seeing Naruto's punch missed, Obito was very proud. You see, you can't hit me. Naruto retracted his fist and stared at Obito. Let me punch you, and everything will be fine. Obito looked at Naruto contemptuously. I am your uncle. Naruto's face became darker. Do you have any shame? Who cares about seniority? You are my father's apprentice, at best. You are my elder brother. Obito rascally said. Anyway, you can't hit me. Naruto stared at Obito. Obito proudly said. If you want to hit me, it depends on your own ability. Naruto thought of a move that could definitely deal with Obito, but that move was too bad. Naruto didn't want to use it unless it was a last resort. Naruto took a deep breath and said again. Just one punch, let me vent my anger. Obito looked at him contemptuously. Naruto, you are no longer a child. What do you want? You need to rely on your own strength to be a man. Naruto turned and left without looking back. Obito was still talking behind him. Naruto shouted angrily. I gave you a chance, don't blame me later. If Sasuke, my love, or Hinata Ninja were here, they would make the right judgment. Satisfy Naruto's request, because Naruto's expression was clearly pity. This was an expression that only appeared when victory was in hand. The people who were cheated were very clear. Naruto left. Obito proudly muttered to himself, Boy, I can't deal with you. But soon he couldn't be proud anymore. He shouted, Naruto, you little bastard. Stop it. Snow Country Farm, next to the manure pit, Naruto opened Kamui Sharingan. The space in front of him distorted, and a pool of poop disappeared into thin air. Naruto covered his nose. Welcome the fear of the farm. Obito kid. I gave you a chance. This poop is so smelly, did you grow up eating poop? Naruto's face was filled with disgust, and the pigs looked at him unhappily. Humph. Chapter 509. Naruto. You little bastard. I'm going to kill you. As soon as Naruto returned to the institute, he saw Obito with a murderous look. And on Obito's body, there seemed to be a smell of something. It must have been left behind when he was cleaning up that thing. What does Obito look like when he's shoveling shit? Naruto held back his laughter and replied with a serious face. You can't blame me for this. You ruined my plan first. Obito took a deep breath, trying to calm himself down. But when he thought of the stench in that different space, he couldn't calm down. Little bastard, give me back my eyes. Naruto blinked. You want it first? Obito's voice was powerful. Give it to me. Naruto cleared his throat. Obito, you're no longer a child. What do you want? You need to rely on your own strength to be a man. Obito's face became even darker. This was what he had just taught Naruto. And now he was being taught a lesson. His mood was simply terrible. You want me to do it myself? Obito wanted to walk towards Naruto, but Naruto pointed outside. Let's go outside, it's spacious outside. Obito nodded in agreement. However, as soon as they left the laboratory, Naruto ran away like crazy. Obito was stunned. Is Naruto scared? For a moment he felt a little proud and satisfied. In his opinion, Naruto running away meant that Naruto was afraid of him. His anger subsided a lot. He chased after him and shouted, Are you scared now? It's too late. Naruto didn't reply until he ran into the farm. Soon Obito also caught up. Little bastard, run. Why don't you run? However, after sniffing his nose he frowned. This smell is a bit familiar. His gaze shifted away from Naruto's body. This is a pig farm? Obito's face was as black as the bottom of a pot, and he finally understood why Naruto ran. It wasn't that he was running away, but that he had something bad in his heart. Naruto, that's where you're wrong. Naruto had a smug look on his face as he asked, You're not going to teach me a lesson? Obito gritted his teeth and calculated in his heart. Naruto had already used it twice. Naruto is not an Uchiha, so he should be reaching his limit. In other words, Naruto was just bluffing. TSK, I was almost scared by this stinking brat. Thinking of this, Obito felt more confident. He had also made up his mind to teach this little brat a lesson. I'm also at fault for what happened just now. Obito walked towards Naruto apologetically, and then suddenly accelerated. However, Naruto was faster than him and rushed into the farm. Naruto reminded him, Think carefully. It's not too late to apologize now. Obito was a little surprised and praised. Good stinking brat, Your speed is not bad. With that, he walked towards Naruto step by step. Naruto reminded him, Are you sure you don't want to think about it? Obito despised. Don't bluff, this trick doesn't work on your Uncle Obito. Let me ask you, can you still use my Sharingan now? Naruto replied, Yes, why can't I use it? Obito curled his lips. You've already used that ability twice. Even Uchiha Itachi wouldn't be able to withstand using that ability twice in such a short period of time. Saying that, Obito took 2 more steps towards Naruto. Naruto raised his hand and stopped him. Don't come over. If you come over, I won't be polite. Obito continued to walk forward. Naruto's left eye, the 3 Tomo Sharingan, directly turned into the Mangekyo Sharingan. Obito was stunned. Could it be that this guy Naruto can still use it? While he was hesitating, Naruto reminded him again. If you take 1 more step, I won't be polite. Obito's face suddenly smiled. Then you can use it. Saying that, Obito continued to walk forward. In Obito's view, the reason why Naruto emphasized again and again shows that Naruto has a guilty conscience and is bluffing. Little brat, this trick of yours is not enough to deal with your Uncle Obito. Obito's words stopped abruptly, and a ripple appeared in the space above the pool. Not good. Wait. Obito wanted to stop Naruto, but it was too late. A whirlpool appeared in the pool, and then a big pool disappeared. Naruto, I'm going to kill you. Thinking that he was going to shovel the shit again, Obito's eyes were red. However, in the next moment, the whirlpool appeared again, and another pool disappeared. Obito stared at Naruto in shock. Naruto used it 4 times in a row, and he didn't even pant. This is too monstrous. Obito looked at Naruto, and Naruto also looked at Obito. Even if you're my elder, you have to admit that you did something wrong or I'll. Naruto's mouth hooked up into a smirk. The veins on Obito's forehead jumped. Looking at the pool again, Obito shuddered. But he's an elder. How can an elder admit his mistake to a junior? Isn't that too degrading? While Obito was hesitating, the space ripple appeared again. Stop. It's my fault. Stop it. Stop. The space ripple disappeared. Obito looked at the pool again, and only felt his stomach churning. He couldn't help but run out to vomit. Hee, it seems that I won. Naruto was proud and frowned. He quickly covered his nose and ran out. It was too smelly. Outside the farm, there was a lot of vomiting. Little bastard, you're ruthless. Naruto tried to breathe the fresh air and replied, I know it's a little too much, but I reminded you, so you can't blame me. Obito stared at Naruto, and then he laughed. He asked, How many times can you use it? Naruto replied honestly, I don't know, I can still use it many times. He can still use it. Obito was shocked. Taking advantage of Naruto's unprepared state, Obito grabbed Naruto and activated his Sharingan. The next moment, the two were teleported into the Kamui space. The Kamui space stinks, and Naruto felt that it stung his eyes as soon as he entered. Without thinking, he instantly activated his Sharingan ability and escaped from the Kamui space. Obito shouted, Brat, don't run. Clean up the space for me. Naruto ran faster. You should clean it up yourself. I still have something to do. Obito activated his Sharingan and appeared in the Great Snow Mountain Research Institute. He wanted to stop Naruto. Naruto didn't let him wait for too long. Don't run. You don't want me to throw those things in your base, do you? Obito looked at Naruto with a smug expression. Naruto was shocked. How can you be so shameless? Obito's mouth twitched. You can trick me, but I'm shameless when I trick you? The stench on the two was not small. Gurney was the first to find Naruto. He stared at Naruto and said, Naruto, did you shit your pants? Naruto's face darkened. Go F***ck your pants. What the F***ck are you talking about? Naruto raised his hand, and the water molecules in the air began to condense together. The particles of the stench floating in the air merged into the water, and then froze into ice crystals. Naruto's chakra swept the area, and the stench was swept away. He explained, We went to the pig farm just now, and now the stench is gone. Obito stared at Naruto, his eyes shining. Naruto, You have to help me clean up the space. Chapter 510. Using water release mixed with ice release, Kuroto helped Obito clean up the space. Naruto and Obito shook hands and made peace. In the different space, Obito sniffed. Why do I feel there is still a smell? Naruto also sniffed. Is there? The two looked at each other. Naruto commanded Obito. Then you stay away. Naruto made a hand seal and used the ninjutsu he learned from Kakuzu, fire release. Obito. However, Naruto used two-colored fire. More than a dozen dark blue fire with black lines scattered, fell to the ground, and exploded. The fire waveform swept in all directions. Along with the wind, only the smell of burnt tiger was left in the air. Obito frowned. Don't you think the smell is stronger? And it's hot. Naruto despised. I was disinfecting at high temperature just now. Naruto's hand seals changed again, and it began to rain. The rain washed the air, fell to the ground, turned into ice, and was removed from the space. The Kamui space was finally clean. Obito went in and out, sniffed several times, and after confirming that there was no strange smell, he praised, good. As for why Obito couldn't transfer all of his Sharingan's abilities, it should be related to the fact that he only has one Sharingan, and his ability control is not perfect. Solid is no problem, but liquid and the smell is terrible. After cleaning up the space, Naruto activated his left eye, and left Obito's Kamui space. Naruto, I can leave that eye with you, but this kind of thing must not be done again. Naruto raised his eyebrows. I can't guarantee that I can do this kind of thing again, but I can guarantee that if this kind of thing happens again, I will not help you clean it up. The two stared at each other for a long time, and Naruto snorted and left. Just to vent? The first time was true, but the second time, Naruto wanted to see if doing such an outrageous thing to Obito would change Obito's opinion of him. It was also a test of the ability of Koto Amatsukumi's Sharingan. As for the results of the test, they could only be described as terrifying. Although Obito was also angry and shouting, Naruto could see that Obito didn't show any resentment. It can be seen that Obito really regards him as a family member. Such terrifying power made Naruto happy and worried at the same time. After all, Itachi still has Koto Amatsukumi's Sharingan. Be careful of Itachi. If Itachi did that to him, the consequences would be unimaginable. But then again, if one Koto Amatsukumi's Sharingan was already so powerful, what would happen if there were two? It was unimaginable. Naruto saw Hirako cleaning the place, so he waved his hand and said, Come here, it's been so long, I'm sure you've thought things through by now. Hirako walked over timidly, not even daring to look Naruto in the eye. His heart was filled with fear at this time, and the source of the fear was the change in Obito. He didn't know the reason, but he saw the result. Naruto brought Hirako to a meeting room. Tell me, how should I deal with you? Hearing Naruto's voice, Hirako's body trembled a bit. His head was still lowered, and it looked like he couldn't wait to plunge into the ground. Naruto frowned. Raise your head and speak. You're also a character in the underground trade. Hirako raised his head nervously. I am willing to pledge my loyalty to you. Saying so, he knelt down on one knee. Naruto looked at Hirako, and he could see that Hirako had lost all his strength. Such a person can be said to be a cripple. You invented the Onigiri Jutsu, right? Hirako nodded repeatedly. Yes. Then what are the flaws of this jutsu? Hirako said respectfully. The flaw of the version I gave to my subordinates is that it can only be fused temporarily. When chakra stops the supply, or when the energy is exhausted, it will be removed. The version I used requires the completion of an ancient ritual before it can be fused. Naruto wasn't interested in Hirako's version at all, because it wasn't easy to gather all 5 unique bloodline limit geniuses in the first place. This was only one of the reasons. Secondly, Naruto didn't believe that fusing all 5 bloodline limit geniuses would allow him to become a god. If he could, he would have done so already. The only thing he could say was that fusing all 5 bloodline limit geniuses would create a powerful monster, but definitely not a god. What Naruto was interested in was the version that could only be fused temporarily. The jutsu you gave to your subordinates, after fusing, will there be any negative effects on them? In other words, if one of them gets sick and fuses with the other person, will they be infected? Hirako replied, of course not. After the fusion is removed, there won't be any changes other than the consumption of chakra. Naruto was now even more interested in this jutsu. As for the actual situation, he would have to try it out to find out. Naruto pondered for a bit. Let me tell you something, your current state isn't a true resurrection. Hirako nodded. He could also sense the state of his body. However, the dead can be resurrected in this world. Since you were able to create a miraculous jutsu like the ghost sprout, I'll give you a bit more time. Do you understand what I mean? Hirako slightly raised his head. You mean you want me to research a resurrection technique? Naruto nodded. You can understand it that way. Hirako's eyes lit up a bit. Naruto tossed him an ID card. The second mission is for you to return to the underground market and secretly unify it. This was something Naruto thought about after much consideration, as it was the biggest benefit that Hirako could bring him. Hirako abruptly raised his head, a bit surprised, but then a bit disappointed. I'm afraid I'll have to disappoint you. The current me no longer has that ability. Naruto used Psychic Link to inform Guni and the others waiting outside. Okay, come in. As soon as they entered, Guni's group glared at Hirako. After all, there was a grudge between them. Naruto-san, if it were up to me, I'd just kill this guy. Little Guni angrily complained. She still remembers how Hirako sent people to capture them back in Woodleaf. Naruto cleared his throat. Ahem, I'm about that. Guni spoke up. It's fine not to kill him. Sometimes living is even more painful. Alright, there's no need for Naruto to explain anything. Ahem, about that, these three people will complete this mission with you. As for your superior-subordinate relationship, the truth is that you are the servant, and they are the master. Only when you need to show your face in the underground market will you be the master, and they are the servants. Who is the real master, and who is the fake servant? I'm sure you've already figured it out. Hirako nodded again and again. I understand, I'm the servant and they are the master. Naruto smiled in satisfaction and told Guni. Alright, I'll leave the matter of how to bind the ID card and how to use the system to you. Take him away. The three girls grinned wickedly. Naruto saw Hirako's body trembling again. He's probably going to suffer a bit. Now that he's taken care of Hirako, what else is there to do? Naruto glanced at the ghost sprout technique. He wouldn't use it until he figured it out. Should I study the ghost sprout technique? Or should I beat up Haiden? Calculating the time. It's about time for Haiden to return to the Rain Country. Then I'll go beat up Haiden. Chapter 511. Freeze. Naruto ordered, and the 5 flying swords were inserted around Haiden in a 5-pointed star. Haiden's body was motionless. But if you have the leisure to continue watching, you will find that Haiden is still moving, but the speed is too slow. This is because the slow barrier affects the reaction speed of the creature's nerves. It is Naruto's upgraded use of medical ninjutsu, Flickering Dash. Therefore, its disadvantage is that it is only effective on living creatures. But even so, there is no doubt about the power of this move. As for non-living creatures, Naruto has other tricks. Return. Naruto took back the 5 flying swords, and Haiden returned to normal and ran away again. Naruto attacked again, and a flying sword shot out at high speed, jumped over Haiden, and nailed to the ground. The ground was frozen with the flying sword as the center. This is Naruto injecting the ice element chakra into the flying sword through the puppet line. Haiden jumped up. The 4 flying swords took the opportunity to surround him. Chakra of the wind element, Wind Blade. The flying sword that condensed the wind blade swept towards Haiden, and Haiden's body was instantly metallized. Then a ding sound was heard. Haiden was intact. Wind release changed to magnetic release. Magnetization. Naruto stretched out his hand towards Haiden, and Haiden's body was sucked over. Naruto's hand pressed down, and Haiden smashed to the ground. Ice release. Ice seal. Haiden's body was frozen. His last expression was to roll his eyes at Naruto. The ninjutsu was removed, and the cold was withdrawn. Haiden's body returned to normal again, but this time he didn't run. He sat on the ground and acted shamelessly. No more fighting, boss. I've been tossing and turning for half a day. If this goes on, you might as well kill me. Only Haiden can practice with Naruto like this. Ordinary people would have been tossed to death. Naruto's interest was not lost, and he advised, practice a little more. Haven't you noticed that your improvement is also great? In the past, your steel release couldn't keep up with the speed of the flying sword. The corner of Fei Duan's mouth twitched. How many openings did this improvement take? In any case, he couldn't remember. All he could remember was pain. Boss, let's stop here for today. Can we practice again tomorrow? Fei Duan looked at Naruto pitifully. Naruto waved his hand. Today is the last day. You'll be leaving tomorrow. Today is the last day? Fei Duan's spirit immediately rose. Really? I can return to the country of rain tomorrow? Seeing Naruto nod, Fei Duan also agreed. Okay, then let's continue. But I have a condition. Naruto's 5 swords flew around Naruto. Speak. Fei Duan licked his lips. I don't want to run anymore. I want to fight you. Naruto looked at Fei Dan in surprise. Naruto had always wanted to fight Fei Dan, but Fei Dan only knew how to run. Alright, then you have to do your best. Begin. Naruto's mind moved, and the 5 flying swords flew out around Naruto. Fei Duan didn't dodge and raised his hand to grab a sword. It wasn't affected by the slow enchantment. It wasn't the main body, but a metal clone. Then something interesting happened to Ming-ri. The chakra on the flying sword was swallowed up, and the puppet strings were broken as a result. What could absorb chakra was nether escape. Not bad, you can even take away my sword. Naruto waved at the sword. Magnetic escape. However, the sword's hilt shook and wasn't retracted. The magnetic force increased. Naruto's sword and the metal clone were sucked over. The metal clone punched Naruto's face. Naruto's left palm met the other party's fist. His right hand rested on the sword hilt. Slash. Fei Duan's metal clone was split in half by Naruto. Bang. The steel clone dispelled and turned into a finger-sized metal cube that fell to the ground. Obviously, this metal clone wasn't completely composed of metal of the same volume. Instead, chakra of steel release catalyzed the extension of metal. After the metal block fell to the ground. Sizzle. Several electric arcs flashed on the metal, and instantly burned red. Explosion. With one sound, there was a second one. Crackle. The scorching juice turned the surrounding trees into a sieve, and Naruto disappeared. Where was Naruto? Fei Duan, who was hiding in the dark, carefully searched. At this time his body suddenly couldn't move. Slow enchantment. Fei Duan was frozen. Naruto took out a carbon pen and wrote the word defeat on Fei Duan's face. The slow enchantment was lifted. Fei Duan stared and said in disbelief, "What's going on? When did you get behind me?" Naruto smiled. "Keep coming and I'll tell you." Then Fei Duan was abused by Naruto for 10 rounds. Fei Duan was so abused that he was about to cry. What the hell is going on? Naruto in front of him suddenly turned into ink and divided into 3. He slashed at Fei Duan 3 times in 3 directions. There was only sword light, and the speed of the sword was so fast that it couldn't be seen at all. Woodleaf swordsmanship. Dance of the 3 suns and moons. Fei Duan's body was cut into 3 pieces. Plop. He fell to the ground and couldn't get up. The illusion was lifted. Naruto stood in front of Fei Duan. The Sharingan in his left eye was so red that it made one's heart palpitate. The answer is that you're under the illusion. The move Naruto used was the move that Kakashi had prepared to use against Naruto. Fei Duan was healing his body, and Naruto was watching from the side. He watched as the small black tentacles sewed Fei Duan's body together. After the stitches were done, Fei Duan was still lying on the ground. Naruto knew that he was pretending to be dead. "Get up, stop fighting, you can return to the country of rain." After hearing this sentence, Fei Duan sat up. "Fei Duan, do you want to have a pair of wings?" Naruto's words made Fei Duan nervous. He carefully probed. "Boss, what do you want to do?" Naruto smiled with a kind face. "Don't worry, the choice is yours." I found a ninjutsu that can be fused with ninja beasts from Hiriko's body. You've seen it before, do you want to learn it? When the time comes, find a winged ninja beast and fuse with it, you can fly. The most convenient thing is that the ninjutsu can be removed at any time, and there are no side effects other than consuming chakra. Saying that, Naruto took out a copied scroll and handed it to Fei Duan. Fei Duan didn't want to take it, but the scroll was already in his hand. Fei Duan had a sad face. Boss, didn't you say that the choice is mine? Naruto kindly said, the choice is yours. Fei Duan carefully asked, then what if I don't learn? Naruto kindly smiled and said, then you can continue to practice with me tomorrow. A threat? A naked threat? Resist? That's impossible. Fei Duan's head loosened, and he opened the scroll to read. I'll learn. Then Naruto sent Fei Duan a copy of his learning experience. This was from Inuheim. Naruto wasn't in a hurry to leave today, so he watched Fei Duan from the side. Fei Duan braced himself and continued to read. Boss, this ninjutsu requires a ninja beast to practice, and you need to sign a special contract. I don't have a ninja beast. I can't learn it even if I want to. Naruto smiled, revealing a row of neat white teeth. As long as you want to learn, there is a way. Tomorrow, let's go catch a flying ninja beast together. Fei Duan. Chapter 512. The next day, the sun was shining. In the teleportation array, Naruto held Hinata's hand and appeared in front of Haiden. Behind the two of them was Obito, who was wearing a mask. Let's go. The first stop is the nearest underground exchange, and look for information about winged ninja beasts. Haiden looked at Obito and said hesitantly, this guy. Haiden didn't know what happened. His cognition was still stuck at the time when Naruto killed this guy called Hoodlum. Naruto introduced. I saved his life. Now he recognizes me as his big brother. He's one of us now. Recognize you as his big brother? Under the mask, Obito's face was dark. But he still played his role seriously. Good morning, Haiden-senpai. Today's Tian is really good. Fei Duan nodded without hesitation. Obito was a little embarrassed, but no one left his embarrassment. Everyone set off for the nearest underground exchange. The previous actions of the Akatsuki were aimed at the core of the underground exchange. Later, the mission was suddenly terminated. The core of the upper echelons didn't die, and the middle-level personnel didn't die, so on the surface, the underground exchange didn't suffer much. Haiden, what kind of ninja beast do you want? The group walked in the jungle at a leisurely pace. The breeze was cool, birds were singing, and flowers were fragrant. It was very comfortable. Haiden replied with a blank expression. As long as the boss likes it. This answer was really good. Hinata took Naruto's hand, and her face was red. The warm sun coupled with the cool breeze made her feel like she was drunk. Naruto-kun, can the Onamaru Jutsu really make people and ninja beasts fuse together and have wings? Hinata also knew a little about the Onamaru Jutsu, because Naruto was also studying it these days. Naruto replied, it's true. Hinata's eyes lit up. Then I also want to learn it. Naruto replied, no, this ninjutsu may be dangerous. I will find someone to try it first. Haiden's body stiffened. Am I that person? Although I've guessed it, don't say it in front of me. Obito, who had nothing to do, cast a pitiful look at Haiden. Arriving at the underground exchange, Naruto used his Clown Emperor Vice President identity card to purchase information about flying ninja beasts. Flying Duan, which one do you want? Come and pick one for yourself. At this moment, Fei Duan's heart was 120% unwilling, but after thinking about it, he still came over and gave her a whiff. Pigeon? Don't want it? Crow? Didn't he wear the same outfit as Itachi? Don't. Two-winged tiger? Where is my body to be fused with? In front. There's still a tiger's body on his back? Absolutely not. He dared to guarantee that if that really happened, his unscrupulous boss would treat him as a mount. He didn't want to see that kind of scene even if he died. The flying segment quickly flipped backward. Naruto said, that tiger is not bad. It looks quite handsome. Even if you don't fuse, you can still ride on its back. Right on his back. Fei Duan's body trembled in fear. Boss really wanted to turn him into a mount. Fei Duan hurriedly flipped through a few pages of information and saw a butterfly. Is a butterfly also a flying ninja beast? It seems to be. Wait. Fei Duan suddenly remembered a sentence on the scroll. Insects are not easy to fuse with. Then this one. It's good that the ninjutsu failed. Boss, I want. Before he finished speaking, Naruto shook his head. I think that tiger is not bad really. Fei Duan shook his head repeatedly. This one. Naruto nodded. Okay, as you wish. Fei Duan was delighted. However, Naruto said, but it said that insect ninja beasts are not easy to fuse with. You can choose 2 others. Fei Duan. F*CK Fei Duan flipped through the information and found a very handsome ninja beast called Dragon Eagle. Boss, I'll take these 2. Naruto nodded. Fei Duan finally breathed a sigh of relief. Naruto submitted the selected information and paid the bill. I've scanned the information and shared it in the system. You can take a look. Clicking on the operating system, Fei Duan felt like he was struck by lightning. That bastard called Double Wing Tiger was also inside. Which one do you think we should catch first? Hinata said. The illusionary butterfly is the closest. Naruto said. That tiger is not far away. Fei Duan quickly said. Let's go to the illusionary butterfly first. Everyone set off again. The illusionary butterfly lives in a place called the Fog Forest in the Land of Fire. It's a giant insect creature that can release illusions. Fei Duan, why do you look a little nervous? It's just catching a butterfly, isn't it? Fei Duan was more than nervous, his face was pale. It's okay, don't worry, I'm fine. Naruto nodded, turned his head, and chatted with Hinata with a smile. Camping at night. At this time, using Obito's Kamui space should be a good choice. But because of special reasons, Naruto didn't want to go in. Therefore, Naruto casually built a house in the mountains. The house was very simple, with a total of 4 rooms, 1 for each person. However, when everyone returned to their rooms, the wooden wall between Naruto and Hinata's room suddenly opened. Naruto was lying on the bed, and the wooden bed seemed to have grown legs and moved halfway over. Hinata, are you afraid of the dark? Hinata's face was red. Sitting on her bed, she lowered her head and didn't dare to look at Naruto. After waiting for a long time, there was no movement around. When Hinata quietly raised her head, the wall in front of her returned to its original state. Illusion? No. It's that guy Obito who closed the wall again. Obito's head was still hanging on the wall, and he scolded, young and hot-tempered. Naruto stared and pressed his hand on the wooden board, trying to take control of the wooden wall. However, Naruto was embarrassed to find that Obito had mastered Mokuton better than him. Go to sleep, don't waste your energy, as your uncle. I have the right to supervise your behavior when you are a minor. Naruto's face darkened, and he whispered, Do you still want to do what you did during the day? Obito asked, How old is Hinata this year? Naruto was stunned. 30. Naruto felt that the wooden wall was thicker. It was a mistake to bring you here. Naruto closed his eyes and fell asleep. The moon was high in the sky, and Naruto was awakened by the sound of snoring. When he looked up, he saw that Obito had fused with the wooden wall and fallen asleep. It looked like a wall snoring. Naruto looked at the wall with amusement and anger. To go to this extent, it's really enough. Go to sleep, I'm too lazy to deal with this psychopath. Naruto closed his eyes. He originally just wanted to tease Hinata. If he really wanted to do it with Hinata, there were plenty of opportunities in the snow mountain. Obito. Snore, snore. The sound of snoring continued in his ears. Naruto, who had his eyes closed, frowned. Naruto found that he couldn't fall asleep. Thump. 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 Naruto couldn't bear it anymore and knocked on the bed. The snoring stopped, and Naruto breathed a sigh of relief. He closed his eyes, but just as he was about to fall asleep, the sound of snoring began again. You did that on purpose, didn't you? Naruto stared at the wall. The sound of snoring was still there. If you do that again, I'm going to throw that thing over there. The snoring stopped. Chapter 513. If the temporary version of the Onigiri Jutsu has no side effects. Naruto plans to transplant the Sharingan to a ninja beast. This way, he can switch between different Sharingan by switching the ninja beast. After all, he has a lot of Sharingan now. It's really troublesome to switch them back and forth, especially in a battle. It's impossible to switch between them. There's also one more thing. He saw in Obito's memory that Madara taught him the strongest Sharingan dojutsu, Izanagi. There's also the 200 Sharingan that Obito dug out on the night of the Uchiha clan's destruction. Boom. There was a roar in the fog forest. Naruto raised his head and looked in the direction of the sound, while expanding the perception barrier. Soon, Naruto saw two huge butterflies fighting 1 kilometer away. One is the Genjutsu butterfly that Naruto saw in the data, and the other is a creature with white bones like the undead. Found it, it's here. Naruto said and increased his speed, followed by Obito and Hinata. Fei-Duan sighed. He looked reluctant, but he still followed. When they arrived at the explosion site, Hinata was attracted by the colorful butterfly. It's a huge butterfly with a height of 3 meters. It's beautiful, but because of the battle, its wings are damaged. The other one is smaller, more than 2 meters. Its exoskeleton is white and has sharp thorns. It looks like it's made of white bones. It's very fierce and has a rebellious face. At least, Hinata defined it as a rebel at first sight. Hinata looked at the injured colorful butterfly and felt distressed. Naruto-kun, let's go and save it. Naruto raised his eyebrows and sighed in his heart. Sure enough, beauty is justice. As soon as Hinata spoke, the colorful butterfly that was hit looked at them, then got up and flew towards Naruto. It made a human voice. Ninja? Help me. This butterfly can talk? Although there are many ninja beasts that can talk, there's a huge difference in intelligence between those that can talk and those that can't. The colorful butterfly flew behind them, and the ferocious white-bone butterfly turned to look at Naruto. It roared, shit. The butterfly stared at them, and Naruto also looked at the butterfly. Haiden, I think this white-bone butterfly is very suitable for you. Fei-Duan glanced at the white-bone butterfly that was brimming with battle intent, and then glanced at the illusionary butterfly that was cowering behind him. He agreed. This is indeed better. Haiden took a few steps forward, the white-bone butterfly's sight, and hit Haiden's body. One person and one butterfly stared at each other. The white-bone butterfly's screams. Fei-Duan began to look at the white-bone butterfly in a circle. The butterfly kept staring at Fei-Duan, and its body changed direction as Fei-Duan circled. Or the white-bone butterflies. It's the white-bone butterflies, the white-bone butterfly, the white-bone butterfly. Thus he launched an attack on Fei-Dan. It used its wings to sweep at Haiden. Haiden went up to meet it. Boom. Haiden was knocked away. Naruto slapped his forehead with his hand. Is Haiden a fool? Didn't you see the big tree that took 4 or 5 people to hug? The one that can cause this kind of attack is obviously the one in front of him. When Haiden took off, its left hand turned into a tentacle and wrapped around the tree. The tree that took 3 people to hug was slightly bent. Haiden froze, then turned back under the elasticity of the tree and shot at the butterfly. After half an hour, Haiden finally got rid of the butterfly. The butterfly was tied to the trunk of a big tree with its tentacles. Next is the signing. A special contract requires a ritual to change the blood of the ninja beast. Pull Haiden and this butterfly into your space. Obito followed the order and walked to Haiden. Naruto turned around and looked at the colorful butterfly behind him. As for you, there's nothing for you to do. The big butterfly looked down at Naruto. The attitude of this human made it a little unhappy. Phosphorescence floated, and the surrounding scenery was distorted. The colorful butterfly disappeared. It left. In the perception barrier, the butterfly was still in front of him. The butterfly stood there without any intention of leaving. Then the scenery in Naruto's eyes began to change. Hinata's figure disappeared. The butterfly was using illusion to confuse him. It has bad intentions. Naruto didn't even take off his blindfold and kicked violently forward. The moment Naruto raised his foot, the big butterfly froze. It stands to reason that people who fall into illusion can't control their bodies. The big butterfly was about to dodge, but Naruto's foot was too fast. Boom! The large butterfly was sent flying by this kick. The illusion was lifted. Idiot. The big butterfly's illusion should be related to the scale powder on its body. Hinata didn't guard against the scale powder, and also fell into the illusion. When the illusion was lifted, she was a little stunned. Where's the big butterfly? It flew away. Saying so, Naruto pulled Hinata and disappeared into the forest with Obito. When they reappeared, they were already inside Obito's Kamui space. The white bone butterfly was tied up by Haiden, and the two of them were staring at each other. Let's start signing the contract. As soon as Naruto spoke, Haiden knew that it couldn't be delayed. Blood dripped from the wound on his hand. It was different from the summoning contract. The Ghost Jello contract required the ninja's blood to merge with the ninja's body. Then, under special rules, the ninja's body would undergo a transformation. If it succeeds, the Ghost Jello will succeed, and the ninja can merge. If it fails, the ninja will die. The ceremony began. Haiden unfolded the prepared scroll and activated the runes. Runes similar to the Edo Tensei were spread out. 2 circles surrounded the big butterfly and flying Duan. Naruto activated his perception barrier and recorded the entire process. According to the notes, this step had the highest failure rate. The white bone butterfly struggled for a while, then became motionless. Haiden also became motionless. Hinata was a little worried. What's wrong with them? Are they okay? Naruto replied. The notes record that the 2 bodies will be temporarily connected through the runes. This way, one body will have 2 wills, and they will compete for control of the new body. The notes also record that the ninja usually signs a contract with the ninja to cultivate their feelings. Letting the ninja recognize the ninja, it will be much easier to compete for control during the fusion. 5 minutes later, the runes on the white bone butterfly's forehead condensed into a symbol under the influence of the rules. Then the man and the butterfly opened their eyes at the same time. The contract was formed. Boss, do you want to fuse now? The white bone butterfly's tentacles loosened. Haiden looked at Naruto, and the white bone butterfly also looked at Naruto. The man and the butterfly's thoughts seemed to be synchronized. Naruto scanned Haiden's body with his perception barrier. Compared to Haiden's previous body, there was no abnormality. Fuse. Haiden turned around, and the white bone butterfly stood up. 4 of the 6 feet supported the ground, and 2 hugged Haiden. At the same time, the butterfly's body also shrank a little. 1 pair of feet hugged Haiden, the second pair also hugged Haiden, and the third pair. The 3 pairs of feet seemed to be bare ribs on Haiden's body. Then the butterfly's body merged into Haiden's body. The man and the butterfly finally connected as a whole. The wings flapped, and Haiden flew up. It's done. And it's done in one go. Naruto's eyes lit up. He then gave Haiden a full body examination. If there are no abnormalities, not only can he use this ninjutsu, but he can also promote it in the Mercenary Academy. Chapter 514. There were no abnormalities with the Onigiri technique. Obito's role came into play as a ninja beast. Genjutsu butterfly, bone butterfly, 2-winged tiger, and dragon eagle were all caught. The ninja beasts were brought back to the snow country. Naruto circled a forest in the snow country for them to move around. As for the temperature problem, Naruto solved it with a geothermal device. He also set up a perception barrier to monitor it. Naruto appointed Big Fatty as the person in charge. As for who Big Fatty will find to be his assistant, Naruto didn't care. But Naruto also knew some things such as Gungun, Rascal, and Orochimaru, who ate and slept every day, disappeared. They should have been thrown into the forest by Big Fatty. On this day, Naruto was trying to transplant first Hokage cells into the Dragon Eagle. First Hokage cells are extremely exclusive, which can be seen when Orochimaru only created Yamato. But it wasn't difficult for Naruto. The reason why first Hokage cells are difficult to fuse is because the cells contain first Hokage's will. And Naruto can erase first Hokage's will. The biggest difference between erasing the will and direct fusion is that after fusion, first Naruto's face won't appear on the body. Just like little flying squirrel. Why did you call me here? In Naruto's laboratory, The only living white Zetsu looked at Naruto with vigilance. Naruto had a smile on his face. In the perception barrier, Naruto saw first Naruto's face behind the white Zetsu. I want to use your flesh. Do you want to do it yourself or should I? White Zetsu was shocked. He was so scared that he took a few steps back. At the same time, he looked around carefully, trying to figure out how to escape. However, whether it was under his feet or around him, everything was metal. Forget it, I'll do it myself. Sharingan. Genjutsu control. White Zetsu stopped, and soon the projection of the Sharingan appeared in his eyes. Come here. Naruto called and White Zetsu came over. The experiment continued. The dragon eagle was lying motionless on the experiment table, and the Sharingan was also reflected in its eyes. The difference between an ordinary dragon eagle and a normal dragon eagle was that it had scales on its back and roared like a beast. The difference between chakra and dragon hawks is just like the difference between humans and chakra. It will change according to the nature of the chakra used. This was mainly due to the bloodline, which was the father of the eagle, or the father of the father. As for how those eagles were trained, most of them were ninja beasts that had signed a contract with a ninja. Then the ninja died, and the ninja beast used his powerful strength to start a harem in the mountains. Of course, there were also those who were gifted and didn't need humans to master chakra. The experiment continued. When the flesh was cut off, it would heal itself, shrink, and turn into a ball of meat. Naruto stuffed the meatball into the dragon eagle's mouth. As for how to fuse with Naruto, he did not have to worry about it at all. The meatball entered the dragon hawk's body, and after feeling the stomach acid, it began to fight back and actively invaded the dragon hawk's body. First Daimyo Naruto's big face appeared on the dragon hawk's belly. Then the dragon hawk's body began to lignify. If it wasn't stopped, the body would soon turn into a plant. Naruto's soul entered the dragon hawk's body. 3 seconds later, the big face on the dragon hawk's belly disappeared, and the lignified body turned back into a flesh and blood body. Success! Next, it was time to transplant the Sharingan. System prompt. Ding. Text message received. Naruto opened the chat interface. Little flying squirrel. I've returned to the rain country. This was a reminder that Naruto set. Naruto calculated the time inside. That's pretty fast. It seems that having wings is different. On the test subject, the Dragonhawk's body began to move. The muscles on his body bulged and contracted rapidly. The huge force caused his bones to break. Then, the powerful life force contained in First Daimyo's cells began to heal. Little Flying Squirrel had experienced this process before. At that time, Naruto took the place of Little Flying Squirrel to bear the pain. Naruto felt that the reason why Little Flying Squirrel didn't have independent intelligence was that it didn't complete the transformation by itself. Naruto lifted the Dragonhawk's genjutsu, and the Dragonhawk roared in great pain. The Sharingan in Naruto's eyes turned into Mangekyo Sharingan. Hold on live. The Mangekyo Sharingan in the Dragonhawk's eyes flashed, which was a hint given by Naruto. System prompt. Text message received. The chat system was opened. Little Flying Squirrel. I saw Deidara. Deidara? Why is Deidara in the rain country? Didn't he go to the Mist Village to support Uchiha Itachi in dealing with Orochimaru? Why is he back so soon? Little Nine, I'm going to the rain country to deal with it. I'll leave this Dragonhawk to you. Don't let it get lost, don't help it. Ninetails replied. Don't help it, this little guy is vomiting blood. Naruto asked. Even if I let you help, what can you do? Ninetails smiled and said. Help it to understand the pain of life. Naruto rolled his eyes, his soul left his body, returned to the bedroom, and drilled into Fugu's body. Then he transferred from Fugu to Little Flying Squirrel's soul world. When he opened his eyes, Little Flying Squirrel was in Deidara's palm. Seeing Little Flying Squirrel open his eyes, Deidara looked at him with contempt. Every time I see you, I think of another animal. Naruto ignored Deidara's words and asked, Is the Mist Village's mission completed? Is Orochimaru dead? Deidara curled his lips. Don't mention that mission, Orochimaru didn't die, we almost died. Huh. What's the situation? Uchiha Itachi, Kisame, Sasori, and Deidara. Isn't this 4 Kage level? And they still haven't defeated Orochimaru? What happened? Even if Orochimaru fully recovered, he wouldn't be so strong, right? Deidara looked like he didn't want to remember and sighed. That guy didn't make a move but a group of dead people? Little flying squirrel Naruto. Dead people? Naruto had a guess in his heart. Deidara sighed again. Well, a group of people who should have died. There was Sandaime Kazekage, Sandaime Mizukage. Sure enough, it should be the Edo Tensei. Deidara continued. Sandaime Naruto, First Dame Naruto. First Dame Naruto. For a moment, Naruto felt that his whole person was Sparta. First Dame Naruto was summoned by Orochimaru. That's right, Orochimaru has the summoning medium of First Dame Naruto. He should have thought of this. But it seems that it can't be prevented because First Dame Naruto refused to be reincarnated by the Edo Tensei. This is one of the reasons, and another is, Naruto reincarnated Uzumaki Mito out of the Edo Tensei. But even if Orochimaru summoned all these people, it shouldn't be. Isn't the strength of the Edo Tensei greatly reduced? There's no reason to lose with Itachi. What about Uchiha Itachi? Naruto asked subconsciously. After asking, Naruto felt that it didn't seem good to ask. However, Deidara didn't notice and directly replied. That guy overused his Sharingan and almost died outside. At this time, Tsunade was treating him. Ha, Itachi almost died in the hands of Orochimaru? Can the news be more explosive? Naruto was still shocked, and more explosive news came. Akatsuki meeting. Pain Yahiko. Jutsu sent back a message. Orochimaru sent the news of 5th Mizukage serious injury to Kimogakure. Kimogakure's Reikage and Hachibi joined forces to sneak into Mist Village, killed 5th Mizukage's guard Ao, and took Ao's Byakugan. How did 5th Mizukage suddenly get seriously injured? Is it related to Akatsuki going to Mist Village? Or do they want to play a trick? Lead the cloud to attack the mist? Pain Yahiko said. Issue a mission for all members including me. Go after Orochimaru. The meeting just ended. Another meeting was held. This time it was about Iwagakure and Kimogakure. When Reikage and Hachibi Jinchuriki returned, Iwagakure launched a fierce attack on the Land of Lightning, and took away Nibi Jinchuriki and Yujito. On the Gedo Mazo, the 10 members of the Akatsuki looked at each other. What should they say now? If the battle between Kimogakure and Mist wasn't enough to cause a war. But now it's enough. There are only 5 major countries, and 3 of them are fighting. Deidara looked at the sky. Is this also Orochimaru's doing? Zetsu replied. I don't have the exact information but I guess it's very likely to be Orochimaru. If Orochimaru tells Iwagakure that Reikage and Hachibi human pillar force aren't from Kimogakure, with the strength of the Yanbi and the Gobi, the possibility of Iwagakure going all out is very high. Kisame complained. This seems to be a good thing for me, so my chances of getting back the shark skin seem to be higher. No one responded to Kisame. Naruto's heart sank. The Nibi Yujito was captured. So what awaits the 2 Yujito is to pull the Biju out and seal it on someone else, creating the 3rd human pillar force of Iwagakure. In this case, the Nibi Yujito will die. Although the time in Kimogakure was short, Naruto was indeed taken care of by the 2 Yujito. They were both teachers and friends. Konan, who had been silent, finally spoke. If a world war starts, then the Land of Rain will definitely be affected. At that time, Hanzo's death won't be hidden for long. Zetsu understood what Konan wanted to say and said, well, Hanzo's death can't be hidden, so the Akatsuki in the Land of Rain won't be hidden for long. The Akatsuki is composed of defectors of various countries. Even if they don't get attacked, they won't be any better. Deidara said indifferently. What's the big deal? Who dares to trouble us? Just blow them up. Zetsu looked at Pain Yahiko, worried that the plan to capture the Biju will be affected. The best choice now is to start the plan before other countries notice the Land of Rain. And Orochimaru's life is not worth mentioning compared to this plan. Pain Yahiko said. Did that person come back? Yahiko Tendo Pain's question came out of nowhere, and everyone was stunned. Naruto guessed something. Zetsu replied. No news yet. The Akatsuki's meeting ended. Then came the Great Snow Mountains meeting. Participants. Level 5, Naruto Dabi. Level 4, Hinata, Big Guni Little Guni, Senju Tobarama, Uzumaki Mito. Level 3, Yakushi Kabuto, Hiroko Haku. These people are the core of the Great Snow Mountain Research Institute. Haku was originally not qualified, but because of the convenience of ice release, he became the person in charge of the Arctic base. Hiroko now represents the intelligence network that Naruto wants to fight for. Naruto didn't want to let Hinata know because of his selfishness. But all kinds of factors were added. Today's meeting is of great importance, so please be mentally prepared. Naruto said and issued the summary of the information. The information is divided into two parts. One is about the glorious era when Orochimaru started the war between the three countries. The second part is that the Akatsuki may be preparing to capture the Biju. As for why they want to capture the Biju, Naruto didn't say too clearly, he only said that they want to make the ultimate weapon. The conclusion of the two parts was that the Fourth World War was about to begin. With the help of the system, everyone read the information very quickly. The first to respond was Senju Tobarama. Good. The others looked at Tobarama with a serious face. Taking advantage of this world war, we can unify the 5 major countries and even the whole world. Naruto's face darkened. He was just about to ask where his confidence came from. A second good was heard again. It was Uzumaki Mito. Uzumaki Mito. They bullied my Uzumaki clan, so we should take this opportunity to destroy them all. Naruto thought that these two were the only lunatics, but Gyuri also joined in. Gyuri, good. Chapter 516. What are you doing? Naruto looked at Gurney with his dead fish eyes. Gurney reported. The basic technology of the metal suit has been matured and can be used in combat. The technology of the metal suit has been matured? Naruto was stunned. He really didn't care about this recently. The Great Snow Mountain Research Conference was the same as the Akatsuki's conference. However, it was more advanced than the Akatsuki's conference, whether it was the projection or other aspects. Gurney saw the surprised look on Naruto's face and said with dissatisfaction. Why do you look surprised? Don't tell me you didn't read the technical report I gave you. I emphasized it many times before I left. Naruto was a bit embarrassed. He was busy catching ninjas and arranging their daily lives, so he didn't read the information Gurney gave him. Who said I didn't read it? I read it. While perfunctorily talking to Gurney, Naruto opened the information package Gurney gave him a few days ago, and then read it with his super brain. The technology in the package was a complete set of information about the metal suit. From production technology to practical combat applications, everything was available. There were also physical video materials. It was very comprehensive, including the remote control technology proposed by Naruto before. Note: number of physical machines 10. Currently used in Mercenary Academy. Additional information at the end. In the Mercenary Academy, there were already 100 students who had completed the Physical Mech Combat Operation course. 500 students have completed the Civil and Combat Virtual courses. He opened the student information. Naruto was surprised to find that the captain and vice-captain of the 100-person team were selected. Captain Sasuke score 6 stars. Vice-captain Chojuro score 5 stars. Vice-captain Snow Wolf score 5 stars. Vice-captain Sunsui score 5 stars. Chojuro was robbed by Naruto from the Mist Village. He originally wanted to use his identity to sneak into the Mist Village, but he met Orochimaru. Naruto knew about Snow Wolf because he participated in the first recruitment of the Mercenary Academy. Sunsui also had an impression of him. This guy was very stubborn. He refused the free student card and used his points to get a bank loan to buy a student card for his own freedom. After reading the information, Naruto pondered. The machines could be produced, and the pilots were readily available. If Obito was involved and responsible for the transportation, Obito snuck in and summoned them. Naruto thought of another application of Obito's space. You guys are really something. Naruto did not pretend that he had seen it. He gave Gurney and the other girls a thumbs up. Guanai raised its head proudly and snorted. Naruto looked at Hinata again. Hinata's eyes were fixed on Naruto. Needless to say, she was completely at his beck and call. He then looked at Apothecary's pocket. Pharmacist's pocket nodded. Have you decided? Naruto also became serious. Apart from Hirako, who didn't know what was going on, everyone else was surprisingly resolute. Even Bai, who did not have an overall understanding of Naruto's strength in the North Pole, was the same. Was he going to start conquering the world? Naruto was inexplicably excited. If he wanted to conquer the world, how should he arrange it? His thoughts were a bit messy. After all, he had never done such a thing before. But as soon as Naruto saw Hirako, he had an idea. In that case, the first step is to take control of the Underground Exchanges Information Network. The Underground Exchanges Information Network was all-encompassing. Not only did it have information about the various countries' ninja villages, but it also had information about the entire country's resources. Not to mention anything else, if Naruto didn't have the information provided by the Underground Exchanges Information Network, it would not be easy to find the required ninja with his own strength. This was a matter of time. If Naruto really did unify the various countries, then the Underground Exchanges information could be used well to reduce the development of the entire empire by 50 years or more. Hirako, your task is important. Naruto looked at Hirako. Hirako's whole body trembled. I will personally follow you and help you take control of the Underground Exchange. Naruto thought of the information he had obtained from the Akatsuki regarding the Underground Exchange's core members. Although a few of them had died and were replaced by new members, most of them were still alive. Taking control of these people and following the clues, even if he couldn't take control of everything, he could still take control of half the sky. Being called out by Naruto, Hirako's spirit was shaken. These people weren't joking around. But what did they have? Hirako thought of many things. Naruto's unfathomable strength, the masked man's strength, Haiden's strength, as well as the three girls supporting him. And their technology. Hirako didn't know what a metal suit was, but the system attached to the ID card was already an eye-opener for him. They had the strength. Yes, Hirako agreed. I have a suggestion. Hirako felt his passion ignite. Naruto didn't expect Hirako to have a suggestion. Having a suggestion was a good thing. More or less, it meant that Hirako was already thinking from the Akatsuki's perspective. Speak. Hirako tried to take out his ID card, but couldn't find it in his pocket. Only then did Hirako realize that this was only a projection of his consciousness. How could he take out his ID card from his real body's pocket? So he directly said, I want to issue these ID cards in the underground market, as well as a hierarchy system. Issue ID cards in the underground market? Naruto raised his eyebrows. He really did want to beat up Naruto, but he didn't think this day would come so soon. Very well, your suggestion has been approved. However, it will have to be implemented in several batches and spread from the top down. Because the ID cards don't have a fixed assembly line, they need to be carved one by one, so there's only a limited number of people who can make them. An assembly line for ID cards? Seems like I'll have to do some research. If there's no other way, he'll have to control his clones. Hirako nodded again and again. Seeing that Hirako wasn't saying anything else, Naruto began tapping his finger on the table. Right, there's no assembly line for the metal suits either, right? This was a stupid question. The 10 metal suits for teaching were all made by the three girls one by one. Let's make 100 of them first. We'll talk about the assembly line later. Then Naruto thought of something else. Do we have enough materials? Asking this, Naruto felt a bit guilty. With only technology, no production, and no materials, what's the point? But to his surprise, Gurney gave him a thumbs up. We do. Steel and other materials have always been in reserve, Naruto asked dumbfoundedly. Always in reserve? Since when? Tobirama replied. Ever since you said you wanted to unify the world. I've been monitoring this matter, huh? Naruto really wanted to wipe the sweat off his forehead. At the time, Naruto was only trying to trick Tobirama into keeping him by his side. What's this? Unintentionally planting a willow tree? Ahem, very good. Naruto coughed to hide his awkwardness and gave Tobirama a thumbs up. The war has already begun. It's too late to stockpile supplies now. Not to mention anything else. Just the price of food alone is enough for the Land of Thunder and Land of Earth to double if they want to. Well, Tobirama, do you have anything you want to say about the war? Originally, Naruto didn't know how to change the subject, so he just casually asked. Unexpectedly, Tobirama stood up and said with a serious face, "My idea is that this war is not only aimed at the major ninja villages, but also at the various countries. We want to abolish the system of one village per country." Abolish the old system? That's bold. Then what should we implement? How about 3 provinces and 6 ministries? Centralizing power in one's own country is cool. Naruto became serious. Then when do you think we should intervene in this war? Chapter 517. Great Snow Mountain Research Institute Conference. While everyone was thinking hard, Naruto suddenly thought of something. By the way, there is one more thing you need to be mentally prepared, especially Tobirama and Mito. Tobirama and Mito looked at Naruto together. Naruto also looked at the two. Orochimaru reincarnated the first Dame Naruto in Edo Tensei. Uzumaki Mito curiously asked, "That first Naruto is my husband?" Naruto nodded. Tobirama's face was very bad, not only his expression, but his whole body was stiff, with a black face. "So one of the 4 Kage-level ninjas resurrected by Orochimaru is my brother?" Naruto nodded. Tobirama remembered that when his brother left, he seemed to have a death wish. He had said something that was extremely disgraceful. At that time, he thought that the two would never see each other again, so he spoke without thinking. If he meets his brother again, the situation will be bad. Naruto had the same worry himself. He was more dead than Tobirama. Not to mention the reincarnation of Uzumaki Mito in Edo Tensei. Just the fact that the first Hokage had to dress up as a woman was enough for him. I have to find a way to remedy it. As soon as Naruto opened his mouth, Tobirama also opened his mouth, and the two said in unison, "I think." The two were stunned, and Naruto swept his eyes to Uzumaki Mito. Tobirama nodded. For a while, the two had the same idea. Gurney looked at the two. "What are you flirting about? Why does it look like adultery?" "Bullshit adultery," Naruto said. "Mito, I think you should change your name." Why should he change his name? Of course, to prevent Hashirama from recognizing him. Mito pointed to himself. "I change my name?" Naruto nodded, and Tobirama also nodded. Mito Seiji was also very smart, and he knew the intention of the two people. "Well, then I will go back and study it." Naruto heaved a sigh of relief. "Alright, let's end today's meeting here. Let's think about the founding of a nation first. If you have any ideas, we'll discuss them next time." The meeting ended. Naruto's consciousness exited the virtual conference room. When he opened his eyes again, all he saw was a desert. A strong wind blew, causing the yellow sand to vibrate. The fine sand on the exposed rocks on the surface of the ground flowed like a snake. This was the border of the country of Earth that Naruto had visited a few days ago, Mount Meru. On the rocky beach, Naruto sat cross-legged on the back of a 4-meter-tall tiger. The tiger's fur was golden and had black stripes. It looked like the Amur tiger that Naruto was familiar with. The only difference was that this tiger had a pair of broad and powerful white wings on its back. "Well, the matter is done. Now we can go to Awagakure," Naruto called, and the tiger under him understood Naruto's words. It bent its body, flattened its wings, and ran up. After nearly 100 meters, it flapped its wings, and the 4-meter-tall behemoth suddenly flew up. Winged Tiger, one of the flying ninja beasts that Naruto caught. Because of its power and aggressiveness, Naruto liked it. Naruto's purpose in going to Awagakure was to meet the two Uchihan. Spiritual Network public chat room. Naruto. Tobirama, today's other things can be postponed. I may summon you to help later. After the meeting, Tobarama was imagining the scene of meeting his brother in the future. As soon as he heard Naruto's order, he recovered. Okay, what is it? What do I need to prepare? Naruto. Go to Iwagakure and take back Nibi's human pillar force. You should encounter Yanbi and Gobi's human pillar force, and even Iwagakure's Tsuchikage, so I'm informing you in advance. Hearing the conversation between the two, Guni suggested, there are 10 sets of metal armor. Do you want to let the students practice? Naruto refused. This is not urgent. The metal armor can't be exposed yet. Guni said angrily. I remember that I'm the metal armor sensei. Guni replied. I'm your sister. Then the two of them stopped talking because they were already fighting offline. Tobarama, how is Sasuke's performance recently? I see that this guy can become the captain of the team. You worked hard, didn't you? Tobarama. I didn't do anything. I just gave him 3 tasks. If he completes them, the seal on his eyes will be lifted. 3 tasks? You want him to be a member of the armed forces? Tobarama snorted. How can it be that simple? I want him to occupy the top of the school tyrant list and maintain his position at the top. The school tyrant list is one of the 2 obelisks in the mercenary university. The other is the school tyrant list. Based on the credit system, one is the top 50, and the other is the bottom 50. Don't underestimate the school tyrant list. It's not something that can be occupied by a few powerful subjects. For example, Sasuke is definitely first in ninjutsu. But even if he's first, the credit for a subject is limited. Others can't compare to him, but if he learns more, he can surpass him. In other words, if he wants to occupy the list, then it's impossible to be idle. Not to mention, Naruto has a reward system. Many people desperately want to climb up. You have it. What about the other 2 conditions? Tobarama replied, Fuse a Kekkei Genkai. The third one hasn't been proposed yet. Naruto took a deep breath. This condition is not simple. By the way, how did the girl Sakura Haruno perform? I'm surprised that she's not a school tyrant. Tobarama replied angrily. She got 90 points in the subject and is ranked 2nd in the school tyrant gang. This, obviously, Haruno Sakura was deliberately letting Sasuke win. Sasuke didn't want to lose. Sasuke, he should be angry, right? With Sasuke's arrogant character, the result can be imagined. Tobarama replied. That kid is angry, but it's a pity for such a good girl. The Uchiha girls are fools. Naruto heard a sour tone in this sentence. There's a story? Could it be that the girl Tobarama likes ran away with the Uchiha? Naruto's soul of gossip was burning. Tobarama changed the topic, but this girl's hands-on ability is a bit weak. She didn't get the position of vice captain in the practical operation class. Naruto said, It seems that these vice captains are very strong. While the two were talking, Naruto saw Iwagakure. I'm here, wait for my news. After Tobarama finished talking, the tiger under Naruto said, Just send me here, you can go back. With that, Naruto jumped. A metal membrane extended from Naruto's arms to his legs. The shape was like a gliding squirrel. At the same time, a metal mask appeared on Naruto's face, hiding his appearance. His red hair was metallized into a flexible metal wire flying in the air. From an emotional point of view, Naruto was taken care of by Tobarama when he was in Kumogakure. One was a thief, and the other was a master. But if he didn't come, by the time the Raikage and the others reacted, the bijou on the 2 Yujito would have been transferred to someone else. The Nibi Yujito would be dead. No matter what, I'm here. Chapter 518. Iwagakure. Tsuchikage office. An old man with a height of 130 centimeters with a red nose sat in the Tsuchikage seat. Opposite him was an Umbu from Iwagakure. Has the new human pillar force been selected? Anoki stared at the Umbu. The Umbu replied, 5 orphans have been selected. Anoki nodded. Inform the sealing team to transfer the Nibi to the new human pillar force as soon as possible. Okay, you can go. Yes. The Umbu disappeared. Anoki leaned on the table with a gloomy face. I hope this can be solved before Raikage and Hachibi arrive. Iwagakure, secret underground stone room. Two Yujihan's limbs were locked on the stone bed, and their bodies were spread out. The mist's headband was taken off and thrown on the ground. Their beige hair was messy, and their clothes were torn in many places. It can be seen that they went through a hard battle before they were caught. Clang! The iron door was pushed open, and the two Yujihan looked at the door. It was Iwagakure's ninjas. An Umbu ninja with a mask, and two ninjas with Iwagakure forehead protectors. The two with Iwagakure's headband were a man and a woman. The woman was holding a small baby in her arms. The Umbu said that Tsuchikage ordered us to complete the task as soon as possible. After the Umbu finished speaking, he locked the iron door from the outside. Zizi. Several arcs flashed a few times on the iron door. I'll be outside the door. Let us know if you need anything. The Umbu printed with one hand, and a layer of curses appeared on the inside of the cell. After doing this, the Umbu stood still and looked at the situation inside through the gaps in the fence. The man came to the side of the stone bed and printed with his hand. He summoned a stone platform. The woman handed the baby in her hand to the man and walked towards the two Yujihan. The man put the baby on the stone platform. You want to seal the nibi on such a small child? The two Yujihan stared at the woman who walked towards her. The female ninja raised her hand, and with a stroke of the scalpel in her hand, the tops of the two Yujihan were cut open from the middle. The female ninja looked at the upper bodies of the two Yugi and said, I heard that you have a good relationship with second last. If it's sealed on an adult, that big cat might cause trouble for the Jinchuriki. The two Yumu people sneered. Childish, do you think you can guess the thoughts of a tailed beast? Whether it's an infant or an adult, to them, they're nothing more than enemies to imprison them. The female ninja helped the two Yumu people tidy up their hair. Your figure is so good, your face is not bad, and you have strength. To be honest, this sister is a little jealous of you. The female ninja's hand pressed on the abdomen of the two Yujijin. The runes on the two wooden golems were revealed. Any last words? When I undo this technique, your vitality will be sucked out along with the ninja beast. Blood flowed out of the woman's finger, and she pressed it on the rune in the middle of the curse seal. And the curse seal lit up. The two Yujijin only felt a sharp pain, and they struggled violently. The chains on their limbs clattered as they struggled. Reikage-sama will come back. You're trying to provoke a war between the two countries. The two Teak people shouted at the top of their lungs. The female ninja laughed and sneered. I've heard about Reikage's temper. He should come, but when he comes, you'll be dead. As for the war, Iwagakure is ready to fight at any time. It seems that you don't have any last words, then I'll start. The female ninja's bloody finger began to slide on other runes, and the runes on the two Yujijin's body twisted. At this moment, a male voice suddenly came from the side of the female ninja. Your technique to remove the curse seal is a bit interesting. Can you teach me? The female ninja turned her head in shock and saw a scarlet eye staring at her. The eye was so red that it made her heart palpitate. There were 3 scythe-shaped runes on it. What kind of dojutsu is this? At the moment when the female ninja was in doubt, the scene in front of her changed. The cell was gone, and there was only endless darkness. She stood in place and wanted to turn her head, but she lost control of her body. Her hands, feet, and head were connected by a silk thread, and her whole body was tied by the silk thread. Teach me how to break the seal, and you won't die. Inside the stone room, the female ninja's pupils reflected the 3 Tomo Sharingan. Beside her was Naruto with a metal mask, and the male ninja who had been squatting. The two Yujijin were stunned. As for the Umbu outside the door, his pupils under the mask also reflected the Sharingan. Hello, sorry. The person who saved you is not the great hero in your mind, Reikage-sama. The two Yujijin recovered and asked in surprise, Who are you? Naruto's eyes were a bit empty. The two Yujijin's chest was really magnificent. He tried not to look, but he couldn't avoid the feeling. The two Yujijin finally realized their situation. But surprisingly, they didn't act like a little girl. Instead, they asked in amusement, Do I look good? Naruto took a deep breath, closed his eyes, raised his hand, took off the female ninja's clothes, and covered the two Yujijin. Ahem, that. I'll tell you who I am later. Before I save you, you have two choices. First, let me save you, on the condition that the two Yujijin of Kimogakure become a thing of the past, and you have to follow me in the future. Second, don't let me save you, no conditions, I'll go now. Naruto looked at the two Yujijin. The two Yujijin frowned after hearing the two choices. They looked at Naruto's left eye. Sharingan? Are you from Woodleaf? Naruto looked at the time. I can answer this question. I don't belong to Woodleaf, but I also want to remind you that you only have 5 minutes to think about it. In addition, I also want to tell you that Reikage and the Hachibi human pillar force are still on the boat returning from the land of water to the land of lightning. Even if he knows about you, he can't rush over. Simply put, without me, you will die today. Naruto looked at the two Yujijin, and the two Yujijin looked at him. Tell me, who are you? Naruto raised his hand to take the clothes that covered the two Yujijin, and then put it on the female ninja of Iwagakure. Seeing their clothes being taken away, the two Yumu people asked in shock. What are you doing? Naruto replied. There are 2 waves of patrolling Umbu ninja coming this way. You don't have time. I'm going to restore the scene and leave. After putting on the female ninja's clothes, Naruto raised his hand. 5 seconds, this is your last time to think. Duh. The sound of footsteps came from outside the corridor. It was getting closer and closer. The two Yujijin could hear that it was indeed 2 people. Naruto counted with his fingers, 3. The two Yujijin clenched their fists. 2, 1. I'll go with you. As soon as the two Yujijin shouted, the people outside the corridor walked faster and asked the guard, what's the situation inside? The moment the 2 of them approached, the guard pulled out his sword and slit the throats of the 2 Umbu ninjas who were approaching. Chapter 519. Congratulations, you made the right choice. Naruto took off the female Iwagakure's clothes and covered the 2 Yugihin with them. It was a red cloak, very big, so it covered them tightly. This chain is a bit strange. The chain was not controlled by Naruto's metal. As soon as it touched chakra, it took the initiative to devour Naruto. The 2 Uchihan replied. To unlock the chain, you need to find the ninja who cast the jutsu. Naruto shook his head. No need. Kusanagi sword appeared in his hand. Swing. Ding. The chain was directly broken. After 3 more slashes, the other 3 chains were also cut off. The 2 Uchihan looked at the sword in Naruto's hand and sighed. What a sharp sword. Naruto proudly said, that's right, this is Kusanagi's sword. Hearing Kusanagi's sword, the 2 Uchihan's eyes narrowed. Are you Orochimaru's people? Naruto snorted. You know a lot, but I'm not Orochimaru's man. The 2 Uchihan knew this mainly because Killer Bee has been thinking about this sword. While talking, the 2 Uchihan turned around and put the red cloak on their bodies. The next moment, they rushed out. Naruto originally wanted the Umbu ninja at the door to stop them, but he didn't expect the 2 Uchihan to suddenly ignite a dual-colored flame, and the ninja was directly burned to ashes. Hey, you promised me. Naruto shouted. The 2 Uchihan replied. You believe a woman's words? After saying that, they disappeared. Naruto's mouth twitched, and suddenly his mood was very complicated. Should he chase them or not? Or should he just do a good thing? Spiritual network. Senju Tobirama you. Naruto was about to let Senju Tobirama summon him away, but he found that the 2 Uchihan ran back. Why did you run back? The 2 Yuginin looked helpless and pitiful. I can't beat the people outside. Naruto asked. Do you think I will help a person who goes back on his word? At this moment, the temperature in the corridor suddenly rose. The 4-tailed human pillar force, Old Purple. Kitty, can you tell me how you managed to escape? The 2 Yukinin widened their eyes as they watched Naruto's body merge into the wall and leave. Don't be so stingy. Naruto did not respond. When Old Purple entered the house, Naruto had already left. In the room, there was only 1 man and 1 woman who were unconscious. Second last, human pillar force, and the 2 Ujiren. Old Purple glanced at the chains on the stone bed. Someone came to save you? Where is he? The 4-tailed human pillar force, Old Purple. His fur was dark red, and he wore a mountain-shaped forehead protector on his head. On the other side of the spiritual network, Tobirama asked, What did you call me for? Naruto. It's all right, wait for my notice. In the cell, the two Yukinin and Old Purple had already started fighting. Old Purple was afraid because he was sure that there was someone here. Another thing is that Iwagakure is on top of this underground chamber. On the contrary, the two Yukinin didn't have to worry about this. They even directly turned into Bijou and fought back fiercely. Bijudama. The stone room was blasted open, and the two Yukinin took the opportunity to slip out. But then the gravity changed, and the two Yukinin were pressed to the ground, and their movements were slow. Iwagakure, Zambu, Jonin, and Tsuchikage arrived. There was also a strong man with a red armor and a hat. He was more than 2 meters tall. That man should be the Gobi human pillar force. The 3 strongest of Iwagakure were gathered. Old Purple reported the situation to the short old man. Someone came to rescue her, and that person should still be in the village. Tsuchikage's expression was solemn. First, lock the Nibi human pillar force. The people of the seal bar came and wrapped the two Yukinin with chains. The two Yukinin chakra began to fade and exit the Bijou mode. Come out! The old Tsuchikage shouted. The Yanbi human pillar force and the Gobi human pillar force were on the side. At the same time, many ninjas came around. There were 3 layers inside and 3 outside. Tsuchikage squinted, and the small eyes on the big eye bag looked around. The surroundings were quiet. Some perceptive ninjas began to cast jutsu. Naruto communicated with the two Yukinin through the spiritual link. Do you think I should give you another chance? Second last Yujito ni got a great shock. Can that person still take her away in the current situation? Nibi connected through the spiritual link. Change your condition. I'm a ninja of Kimogakure. I can't betray my village. Naruto replied. I didn't ask you to kill the people of Kimogakure. How can you betray the village? You can understand that I ran away from home for a while. The two Yukinin asked. Then what do you want me to do? Naruto replied. How about dealing with other villages? Except for Kimogakure. The two Yukinin hesitated. Naruto continued. Without me you will die. The Nibi in your body will be taken away by the other party to create the human pillar force of Iwagakure. By then Iwagakure will have 3 human pillar force. With the relationship between Iwagakure and Kimogakure, who do you think will suffer in the end? The two Yukinin wavered. Naruto continued. Reikage and Hachibi human pillar force won't be able to save you in time. Even if they come, facing 2 human pillar force and a Tsuchikage, how much hope do you think they have to take you away? By then, Iwagakure won't be able to take away the Bijou in your body and kill you. The two Yukinin gritted their teeth. Okay. If you have the ability to save me from here, then I'll agree to your conditions. Negotiating with women is really tiring. Naruto quietly appeared on the Tsuchikage building. Tobirama, put on your mask, I'm going to summon you. Naruto selected Senju Tobirama in the summoning system panel. The chakra link used for the summoning was naturally the chakra synthesized by the snowy mountain. For a moment, a circle of light appeared on the Tsuchikage building. The movement of chakra made the Tsuchikage look over. Over there. The Tsuchikage ordered, and the Umbu who was closest to him rushed over. But the faster they were, the faster they died. Extremely small metal wires swept through their bodies, and they were cut in half. Only those who were most sensitive to danger, and used chakra to protect themselves in time, or those who had other defensive means survived. However, these people were greeted by Naruto's flying sword. The flying sword was branded with a slow barrier. The puppet barrier made people slow down. One end of the flying sword was connected to the puppet line, and the puppet line supplied chakra to cast long-range jutsu. Wind release. Wind blade. For a moment, where the flying sword passed, half of the heads fell to the ground. The Iwagakure ninjas began to retreat in horror. At this time, Nidame Naruto was summoned. Nidame Naruto was wearing a mask. Woodleaf's forehead protector was thrown away the moment he pledged allegiance to Naruto, so no one recognized it at first glance. Nidame Naruto glanced at the corpses and rolling heads around inside. It's really a big scene. What do you want me to do? Naruto replied, use your ability to take away Nibi human pillar force on the ground. Third Tsuchikage Inoki looked at the corpses on the ground with red eyes and said fiercely, none of you can leave today. You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.